Overconfidence is not one of the problems that the Eagles have coming into this game. What they have to do is fulfill the prophecy of those who said that they would be a playoff challenger. And if they go 1-3, that will not bode well for them. Dan Fouts is my partner. And, of course, the one name on everyone's lips, both teams, both coaches, is Randall Cunningham of the Eagles.
Well, he's the most exciting young quarterback in the NFL right now. But he told me yesterday he's feeling a little bit old. At 25 years old, he's feeling he's having to shoulder too much of the responsibility. He would like for the chemistry of his offensive football team to get a little bit better, and he would like to see them score when they get the opportunity inside the 30-yard line. As for the Vikings, who knows which team will show up today, but they do have two things going for them. Number one, they are very much familiar with the Eagles style of defense, having played the Bears last week, and they've got these 63,000 loud fans that are going to be backing them all the way.
And they're going to be heard in a big way, Dan, as the Vikings will get their hands on the ball first. Dale Dawson, who was just re-signed yesterday, he was injured, then waived and brought back from waivers, will be kicking, and deep as Darrell Harris for the Vikings. The Eagles in white, the Vikings in purple, and we're underway at the Metrodome. And it'll be Harris at the 2-yard line. Returns it just about to the 30, and we'll get down to business right now on the first series of play. Bartlett on the stop for Philadelphia. Tommy Kramer, the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. This is his third start of the season. Wade Wilson began the opener, a loss to Buffalo. He'll face the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles. Reggie White, Mike Pitts, Jerome Brown, and Clyde Simmons up front. Good defensive line. Seth Joyner, Byron Evans, and Todd Bell are the linebackers. Roynell Young and rookie Eric Allen the corners, and Wes Hopkins and Andre Waters are the safeties. At the 29, 1st and 10. Kramer has a lot of time, and he's going deep, and Hassan Jones had fallen down. No penalty marker there, but they wanted to go up top to Jones on the first play. The rest of the offense for the Minnesota Vikings, besides Jones, Anthony Carter, the other wideout, Steve Jordan, the tight end, and the running backs supporting Kramer are Alan Rice and Alfred Anderson. The offensive line, a good one. Gary Zimmerman, Randall McDaniel, a rookie from Arizona State, Kirk Loudermilk, and Terry Tausch. Tim Irwin is the veteran right tackle. The Vikings will shuttle plays with their fullback, so Rick Fenny, number 31, is in there with Rice. 2nd and 10. Kramer going up top to Jordan, and the pass is caught by Jordan between two defenders. And a 29-yard pickup. Evans and Waters on the play, and Dan Fouts, I don't know how he made that catch.
Well, he made it because he has outstanding athletic ability, Dick. This is a fine throw also by Kramer. The Eagles are double covering Jordan down the middle, but he throws it the only place that Steve could make that catch, and that's low to the inside.
Kramer taking punishment back there.
Well, this is something Philadelphia is going to have to do, because if Tommy gets off to a hot start and doesn't get knocked around early, he can be a very hot quarterback.
No question what the Vikings are out to do. They're sending an early message here. If he gets time, they'll throw. 1st and 10 for the Vikings on the Eagle 41. And the first running play to Alan Rice. And Rice gets to the 36-yard line. Good yardage, nearly 5. Reggie White on the stop.
As you said, Dick, Bob Schnelker told us on Friday at practice that he doesn't mind if he has to throw the ball every down. He's the man calling the plays for the Vikings, and he's well aware that they're going to be the Eagle front line is very tough to run against, and he's very happy to have to throw it every down. Threw it 2 out of 3 so far.
And the Eagles have been porous in the pass defense category, which bothers Buddy Ryan. 2nd down and 6. Vikings on the Eagle 37. First series. Rice again. He stopped short of a first down by a couple of yards. The two tackles, Mike Pitts and Jerome Brown, on the stop. Alan Rice is playing for the injured Darren Nelson, who has a sprained ankle tendon. It's been a little loose, and Rice delivered with the best day of his career last week against the Bears.
They're in no hurry to bring Darren Nelson back until he's completely healthy. He sprained his ankle of all places at practice on their natural turf, and coming to play on an artificial turf like they have here in the Metrodome can be very tough for Nelson.
Well, they beat the Bears without him. That's a bonus. If they can beat the Eagles without him, they really have something. It'll be 3rd and 1. Double tight end on the 32-yard line. Penalty marker down. Rice has the first down to the 27-yard line. Andre Waters, the strong safety on the stop, but there's a penalty, and Jim Tunney, our referee, will explain it. And it'll be against the Eagles, so the first down will go. Jim Tunney running things today.
You can credit Tommy Kramer with this penalty. Gave the hard count.
Offside. Defense number 99 is declined. Result of play is the first down.
Jerome Brown.
And oftentimes when they do jump off sides, it relaxes the defensive line a little bit. The offensive line's still going hard, and they know they got a free play.
Well, the Eagle defense now under the gun. We were talking about how they haven't been successful offensively inside the 30. Now the defense has to stop a surge here. First down on the 27. Alan Rice to the 25-yard line. Byron Evans, the middle linebacker, on the tackle. 64 yards on the ground and 75 through the air were Rice's impressive numbers last week.
Tommy wants Hassan Jones to come in motion, and Hassan either doesn't hear him or doesn't quite understand the play, but Tommy's going to let him know. Come on down, boy.
Took a while to get the play off.
Well, and it really threw their rhythm off by having Tommy do that. It changed his snap cadence.
Rice has carried the last 4 plays after the opening 2 to start the drive. 2nd and 8 on the 25 of the Eagles. Here's Rice again. And Rice is hit at the 21-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd and about 5. Andre Waters making the stop. So all of a sudden, the Vikings are trying to keep the ball on the ground after that big flurry up top.
Doing a good job of keeping it on the ground, too. They're we came in talking about how difficult it's going to be to run against the Eagle front line, but the Vikings down in this part of the field, they're more concerned with getting those 3 points than going up top. This is an interesting pass run situation now, 3rd and about 3 or 4.
3rd and 4 is the call, and Carter to the left, Jones to the right on the 21. Now they send Fenny in motion. Kramer, and wide open is Rice. First down and inside the 10. Waters again on the tackle. Well-designed play, and Rice wide open and a gain of 12 yards.
We'll take a look at this from the end zone. This is a blitz right up the middle by Evans, and Kramer finds the open man, Alan Rice, and it's a first down. And the great thing about that is you've got to punish defenses that come after the quarterback. And the way you do that is you hit the hot receiver. You make them pay every time they come after you. You try to make a big play.
5 minutes have gone by in the first quarter. The Vikings have had the ball all the way. They have a 1st and goal at the 9, threatening to take the first lead of this game. Alfred Anderson with the carry, and Jerome Brown wraps him up in a hurry. The big play was the pass on 2nd down to Steve Jordan, a 29-yard pickup, which put the Vikings in Eagle territory. They pecked away since then, and now are working on 2nd and goal at the 9. Vikings come in with a record of 2-1. They have outscored their opponents by a whopping margin in the last 2 games. They're the 2nd highest scoring team in the league right now. They'll come out with 3 wide receivers, and actually 4. Ball on the 7, 2nd and goal. Alfred Anderson goes up the middle, drives and scores. I didn't catch any overconfidence on that drive.
Not at all. They look very smooth. The Eagles drop back into a zone defense. Remember, the Vikings just hurt them when they tried to blitz them, and a draw play is a great call against a zone defense, and Anderson takes it the rest of the way.
Alfred Anderson with the touchdown. That is his 2nd touchdown of the season. And Chuck Nelson with Bucky Scribner holding will try to give the Vikings a 7-0 lead. Nelson is 9 for 9 in the conversion department thus far. Kick kick is good, so the Vikings picking up where they left off. They blistered the Bears, and right now they have run through the Eagles on their first possession and lead Philadelphia 7-0. Leading Philadelphia 7-0. They chewed up the first 5:58 of this game. Impressive 10-play, 70-yard drive capped by the 7-yard run by Alfred Anderson. Now Chuck Nelson will be kicking off for the Vikings. Back deep for the Eagles, Sean Beals and Mark Konechny. Going over toward Beals' side, and it will go out of bounds. So the Eagles will pick it up on the 35. This was the touchdown run by Anderson.
Notice two things here on the touchdown run. Number 92, Reggie White, is the left end here. They don't even block him. Number 2 you want to watch for is watch how Alfred Anderson covers up that ball. Gets a good block by Zimmerman, and then his power and strength will carry Terry Hogue into the end zone.
The man who's running the offense, Bob Schnelker.
Worked with Bob in San Diego about 15, 16 years ago. He's an outstanding offensive coach.
He got 35 on the board, or 31 last week against the Bears for his club. He's up 7-0. Now let's see what the Eagles do on their 35. First down. Keith Byers will lose yardage. Keith Millard and Chris Dolman both stormed in. You can always expect a big effort from that man.
Millard is probably obviously one of the better defensive tackles in the game, but he plays with a lot of emotion, and when you start off the game making a nice tackle for no gain or a 1-yard loss, this is a wonderful way for him to start the game.
He'll move from right tackle to left tackle depending on his wishes and what he thinks the Eagles might do. 2nd and 11, loss of a yard. Randall Cunningham with a threat to run finds Byers, and Byers to the 39-yard line, short of about 6 yards. Carl Lee on the tackle. We'll bring you up to date on the defensive and offensive people. First this.
Millard gets off Tamburello right now, and he's right in Cunningham's face, but there's that athletic ability, a little spin move, and out to Byers. They have got to contain Cunningham in the pocket today. They do not want him to get outside, use that type of running ability like that, because that is where he is most dangerous.
And where the Eagles are not dangerous is in the running game. They haven't had much of it other than Cunningham, who leads the club in that department. 3rd down and 5. Eagles on their own 40. Cunningham will be short of a first down, so the Vikings did their job. Solomon drove him out of bounds. And the Eagles will have to kick. Good pressure by Dolman on the earlier play with Millard, and then Solomon stopped Cunningham, and so on 4th down, John Telchik, Buddy Ryan told us last night, is the best athlete on this team, pure and simple. Going back is Leo Lewis for the Vikings. And the Vikings block the kick. The kick is blocked, and the Vikings are sitting pretty. Isaac Holt. Darth Vader.
This was no contest. Holt is in right now on Telchik, and I don't care if you're the best athlete or not. If you're not getting the blocking, you can't get that kickoff. Something the Vikings have always been able to do is block kicks.
A breakdown somewhere.
This is a bit of a high snap, but I don't think it matters. I think Isaac Holt would have blocked this one anyway. Fortunate for the Eagles that this ball didn't bounce to one of the linebackers there, that they could have picked it up and taken it on in.
It's a rare when you see a blocked punt that doesn't go squibbing or flying off somewhere. That was just buried right at the point where he kicked it.
You could say he got all of it.
We have a stoppage of play right now, and the official coming over toward the sideline. We have 7 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Eagles and Vikings coming in this game are so similar. Look at sacks, intercepted, points scored, virtually the same, passing and rushing. But when it came to average yards allowed in the passing department and points allowed, there's a big difference.
And the big difference is they're not getting the pressure on the quarterback, putting too much pressure on their secondary.
So the Vikings in Eagle territory at the 29. 1st and 10, leading 7-0. the middle. And a great catch and a hard hit by Anthony Carter. Terry Hogue made a tremendous hit on Carter, who amazingly held on in a 17-yard gain, and they're threatening big again.
This ball's thrown late. He pumps once and throws it a little bit late, but Terry Hogue should have made the play on the ball and not on the receiver here. He's in plenty of good enough position there to make the play for the interception, perhaps. But I know one thing. He delivered quite a blow to Anthony Carter.
Anthony Carter wants the ball more, he always talks about. I don't know if he wants it in that spot all the time.
I don't think he wants it that late.
1st and 10 on the 12 for the Vikings. Leo Lewis in at wide receiver. And Allen Rice is stopped by Jerome Brown. So the Eagles forced again to snuff out the Vikings, who have a lead and are threatening to advance their margin.
It would seem that the Vikings play calling is, let's run it a couple of times on 1st and 2nd down, and then let's take a shot at them on 3rd down. Or let's open up with a play action pass on 1st down and try for the bomb to Carter or Hassan Jones.
The Vikings have rushed twice as much as they've passed. They have a 2nd and 9 on the 11. 2 tight ends in there. They can get a 1st down without scoring. Kramer fires. Incomplete. Pass was intended for that 2nd tight end, Mike Malarkey, and Terry Hogue was defending on the play. Will bring up 3rd and long.
That's really not one of Tommy Kramer's strong suits, is the scramble, and part of the reason is he doesn't quite have the mobility he had before. And this time he jams his left hand, probably hitting it on the turf. But sometimes you got to get away from that pass rush pressure of the Eagles, and that's what it would appear that the Vikings want to do.
Kramer continues to wear that gizmo in the back of his shirt for his neck.
The hunchback of Minnesota. And he doesn't mind being called that. Just don't call him a linebacker.
3rd and 9 now on the 11. Inside handoff to Allen Rice. And Rice is stopped short of a 1st down. He gets to the 5, and that's all. So now Chuck Nelson flexing his kicking leg, ready for the call. Waters and Hogue on the stop. Crowd wants them to go for the 1st down, but Jerry Burns says let's get 3.
Naturally, the crowd wants the touchdown. But this is a good decision. Early in the game, you go up 10 points with about 10 minutes to go in the 1st quarter. You're sitting pretty good.
Nelson is off to a good start. He has been successful on 4 of 5 field goal attempts. And this one will be a chip shot for him, 22 yards out. Longest one he's kicked this year has been 39 yards. Scribner holds. And the kick is perfect. So the block punt allows the Vikings to come back with 3 more points. And a 22-yard field goal gives Minnesota a 10-0 lead. Jumped on the Eagles to the tune of 10-0. Chuck Nelson, who just kicked a 22-yard field goal, will be booting it for the Vikings. And Sean Beals and Mark Konechny, that's Beals back there for the Eagles. There was the drive, and it all started with Isaac Holt's block punt. That was the 3rd of his career. 5:04 remaining in the 1st quarter. Kick heading for Beals at the 4-yard line. And Beals, whistle had blown, and he was downed at the 25-yard line by David Howard. So the Eagles will go on offense for the 2nd time. Darrell Fullington also involved on the play.
The rule is that if the ball hits the ground cannot cause a fumble. You'll see a lot of this, I believe, this year, where the player's reaching out to get that extra yard, and he may fumble, but it's not a fumble because once the ball hits the ground, the play is dead.
Vikings have had the ball for 14 plays. The Eagles only 3. They start from the 25, 1st down. Byers with a head of steam. He's got a lot of power, fights his way to the 30-yard line. And right now, for an NFL Today report, let's check in with Brent Musburger in NYC. Brent?
Dick, New Orleans strikes first against the Buccaneers, and it's Hebert now. He has thrown more touchdown passes than anybody in the NFC. That's number 7 going to Lonzel Hill. 7-0, back to Dick.
All right, Brent, thank you. Hebert off to a hot start, and the Saints are in their game. Randall Cunningham trying to get on track. 2nd down and 5 for the Eagles on the 30. Chased by Goldman. Now by by Millard. And the pass thrown where no Eagles roam. There were no Eagles within 15 yards of the play. David Howard might have tipped the ball. In fact, he did. And just frustrations continue for Cunningham. Scores coming in on the CBS Sports Wire here.
The Eagles wanted to set up a screen that time to the right side, but the Vikings were not fooled. And then, of course, we saw that Cunningham rolled out to the left. The good thing that the Vikings did is they kept their eyes in their secondary on Cunningham, watching for the run.
I can see where now he told you that he's feeling kind of old.
He's got a big load on his shoulders.
3rd and 5 at the 30. And a mix-up at the line. Mark Konechny, second Anthony Toney carried, and Keith Millard made the easiest tackle he'll ever make, and it'll be 4th down. The Eagles are totally out of sync offensively right now.
Andy, I think you got to give a little bit of credit to the front line of the Vikings. They put good pressure on Cunningham early. This is a terrible exchange in the backfield, and it's another problem that the Eagles are having with their running game. It's just nothing is going very smooth for them.
Leo Lewis is back, and Telchik will kick. Maybe a lot of credit for their defense. Penalty marker is down, and the kick bounces in Viking territory, and it'll be dropped at about the 35-yard line. See what the flag is. It was a 37-yard punt by John Telchik. .322 remaining in the first quarter. Already 10-0 Minnesota. Anderson with a touchdown run. Nelson with a field goal. Illegal block the other way. Normally it's against the receiving team, Dan.
Illegal use of the hands, and this brings up an interesting decision for the Vikings. They have decent field position right now at the 35-yard line, but they just blocked one Philadelphia punt. They might want to go after him again.
Jerry Burns, who puts a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of Bob Schnelker, who we saw on offense, and Floyd Peters, his defensive guru. Jim Tunney.
Early use of the hands, number 35 on the kicking team, is 10 yards and it's still 4th down.
Mark Konechny, number 35.
I believe this is a good decision by the Vikings because now Telchik is almost backed up to his goal line. A lot of pressure on him. You get your first kick blocked. Your second kick only goes 20 or 30 yards. Let's see what happens here.
Inside the 5. Telchik gets off a decent kick, and a fair catch called for by Leo Lewis, and it takes a big Philadelphia roll and goes out of bounds at the 29-yard line. So some decisions work, some don't, and that didn't for Minnesota.
If Lewis catches this ball with the fair catch, he'd catch it at about the 45-yard line. He lets it roll. It goes 15 yards more. If they decline the penalty, we've got the ball on the 35-yard line, so Lewis really gets the booby prize out of that one.
And the Vikings with the ball again. They've had it every time you look up. 3:13 to go in the first quarter. 1st and 10 on the 30. Kramer being rushed by Reggie White gets knocked down. His pass to Carter is caught. And now they say incomplete. He had it and lost it. And Eric Allen, the rookie out of Arizona State, was with him step for step. And Reggie White put a hit on Mr. Kramer.
I think the great thing, watch this hit. This isn't the great thing. No way. Unless you're a Reggie White fan, which I happen to be too, but I'm also a quarterback. But the great thing about the forward pass is there's all this time when the ball is in the air that you don't know what's going to happen. You want to see great athletic ability down the field. Well, Eric Allen was right there with Anthony Carter all the way. Great throw, great hit. We had it all on that play.
You must wince when you see quarterbacks get hit like that. And 2nd and 10, penalty marker down, and the pass is to Finney. He's got it into Eagle territory and out of bounds at the 47. The flag was down, maybe against Philadelphia.
Now they're going to call this one on Jerome Brown, and the bad thing
Offside in the neutral zone at the snap. Number 99 defense has declined. 1st down.
The bad thing that Jerome did is not so much jumping off sides, but he quit after he did jump off sides. He's on the right, number 99 there, jumps in the neutral zone. Now he stops. So there's absolutely no pass rush on Kramer. He's got a lot of time to deliver this ball. Fortunately for Tommy Kramer, he gets Feeney open down the sidelines, and this is another big game.
And they're in Eagle territory again with exactly 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. In motion, Alfred Anderson. Alan Rice hits a stone wall and maybe a yard. Seth Joyner makes the stop. There's Hassan Jones, who won the starting role at wide receiver from Leo Lewis. He is out for the game, is the word, with an injured toe.
That could be a direct result of the carpet that we're playing on. A lot of toe injuries on this AstroTurf. In fact, they have a special name for it. They call it Astro Toe.
Tough break for the Vikings. They still have Carter, but Jones is a key man for them. 2nd down and 9 at the Philadelphia 46. Kramer stepping up in traffic. Finds Leo Lewis. Incomplete. Defended by Eric Allen. Right now, let's check in again with Brent Musburger in New York. Brent?
Well, Dick, lightning has just struck against the Dallas Cowboys. Chris Miller, the fine young quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, finds Stacey Bailey on the fly pattern deep. And watch what happened. The Falcons come back, and now they trail by 7. It is 14-7. Back to Dick.
All right, Brent. Meanwhile, the Vikings with the ball. That's been a familiar refrain. They've had it for 9 minutes and 17 seconds of this first quarter. 3rd down and 9. Kramer has a lot of time and nearly intercepted by Seth Joyner. Rick Fenny was the intended receiver, and the umpire gets knocked down. Heidi Ansich is shaken up, and he looks like he is in pain.
He took quite a lick here from Joyner, who was going for the ball. It appeared that Kramer was throwing the ball right to the referee, although he did have Fenny on the far side of the ref, and we'll take a look at it right here. That's rather frustrating for a quarterback, because now you're looking into his own defense. Because, you know, it's not exactly the nickel defense, it's the referee defense.
And Seth Joyner may feel that if the umpire weren't there, maybe he would have picked it off as well. No one's happy right now. Hendy Ansich, the umpire working today, has been put on the stretcher, and he will be taken off, and so we will work with one less official. Here's the play again.
What Hansik should be doing is stepping up. He should not stand stationary there in the secondary. He should follow the pass rush up the field a little bit farther, and then he wouldn't be in the way of crossing routes right there. But the other thing, you know, these men aren't used to getting hit and knocked down. They're not young men out there, and they're strong. That's why I'm sitting up here, because I got tired of getting knocked down like that.
Boy.
One of the situations now we have is with Ansik being the umpire. He's probably the most important ref out there besides, of course, Jim Tunney. Now we'll have to have a substitute in there. Not actually a substitute. What they'll do is rotate positions. And this guy that's calling it now is out of position. We'll get his name for you in a minute.
It's the line judge who is standing right inside the 40-yard line. Meanwhile, Mark Konechny goes back, and Bucky Scribner will punt for the Vikings with 2:07 on the clock in this first quarter. Howard Rowe is the name of the line judge that time. And a fair catch called for by Konechny on the 13-yard line. 33-yard kick, but the Eagles hemmed it in their own area. Right now, let's tell you what kind of defense Minnesota has. It's impressive. Al Baker and Chris Dolman are the ends. Henry Thomas and Keith Millard the tackles. The linebackers are David Howard, Scott Studwell, and Jesse Solomon. In the secondary, Isaac Holt, who has blocked a punt already. Carl Lee, the other cornerback. John Harris. And outstanding strong safety Joey Browner make up the Minnesota defense, which has only yielded 6 points after the first quarter this season. 1st and 10 on the 13, Philadelphia. Cunningham, short drop, hits Chris Carter. Ridden out of bounds at the 16 by Carl Lee. Rest of the offense for the Philadelphia Eagles, Keith Byers and Anthony Toney in the running back spots. Mike Quick, who they haven't gone to yet, and Carter, the wide receiver. Rookie Keith Jackson, who's gotten off to an impressive start, the tight end. Up front, Matt Darwin, Ben Tamburello, Dave Remington, and Reggie Singletary. Ron Heller is the right tackle. 2nd and 7 for Philadelphia on their own 16, trailing 10-0. This time it's Anthony Toney Slices off tackle and doesn't get much. Scott Studwell, the veteran middle linebacker, was right there.
One of the problems the Eagles have had all year is getting this running game established. They just don't have the coordination that they would like to have between the running backs and the offensive line. The offensive line, they've probably only had about 20 practices together as a unit so far this year, and 3 new starters. And last week they were clearly outmanned by Washington, and right now they're being outmanned by the Vikings.
3rd down and 5. Cunningham eluding Millard, and getting knocked down. No flag was Carter, as Isaac Holt defending on the play. So the Eagles will have to kick again, and right now they can't get anything going offensively, and the Vikings are keeping them hemmed in.
They want to get Cunningham out on the run, but sometimes that really exposes the quarterback to a lot of violence. Jesse Solomon there really laid it to him that time.
So John Telchik will punt again. Went 52 yards. His first one was actually blocked. There's Leo Lewis. Vikings looking for good field position. Telchik will run. A penalty marker down, and Telchik will have enough for the first down if the flag is against Minnesota. And Holt seems to be shaken up for the Vikings as he is downed on the 10-yard line.
Holt had a real chance to block number 2 on the day, but he was taken down by the personal protector for the punter, and that's what the penalty will be.
Telchik, I understand, also is shaken up. He's holding his wrist.
And we're going to see Randall Cunningham come in and punt this ball away for the Eagles. Cunningham's not a bad punter either.
We've already lost our umpire in the game, Hendy Ansich, who's having his left knee x-rayed.
Goal line. It is 4th down.
Dwayne Giles was a guilty party, Dick. He had no other recourse, though, than to pull Holt down, because if he didn't, Holt would have been right in there to block another one.
Ironically, last week, the Eagles were the team that tried a lot of fancy stuff with fake punts.
And that wasn't a fake that time. I think that Telchik just saw that he had no chance of getting the one off and wanted to use his ability to see if he could get the first down on the run.
So Cunningham is deep into his end zone as he will punt there, and Leo Lewis is standing virtually at midfield for the Vikings.
And you see him trying to get loose, too. You know, he's coming off the bench cold. He's been out there playing quarterback, but he hasn't stretched that right leg yet.
A brilliant kick by Cunningham sends Lewis back inside his 40. Terry Hogue brings him down. A 53-yard punt. So if Cunningham can...
So much for getting loose.
If Cunningham can run and throw, there's a triple threat right there.
He is unbelievable.
We're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts. We have under a minute to go in the first quarter. The Minnesota Vikings have jumped on the Philadelphia Eagles 10-0. Alfred Anderson scored a touchdown from 7 yards out to cap an impressive first possession drive for Tommy Kramer and the Vikings. Then Chuck Nelson kicked a field goal after the Vikes got the ball back on a blocked punt. And they have called the tune so far in this first quarter, and the Eagles have been held to just 15 total yards. Vikings, good field position, first down on their own 47. Off by Joyner. Joyner gets to midfield. Anthony Carter is trying to get the ball away from Joyner. Alfred Anderson and Carter combine to make the stop, and Kramer throws an interception, and the Eagles will have their best position.
Sometimes you get lulled into a feeling that you can do anything. Tommy is very confident that he can complete just about everything at this time, but this was a poor decision and a nice catch.
Well, both of these clubs have made a habit out of getting turnovers. Philadelphia and Minnesota, 2 of the top 3 teams in the league in the plus department in takeaways. Cunningham out of trouble, fires, and that's clearly intercepted. A low toss. John Harris was back there, but on most of Cunningham's passes so far, Dan, we haven't seen an Eagle receiver anywhere near the ball.
Well, the pressure up front is what's really given him a lot of problems. They tried a little play action pass that time, and they were going to go up top, but he's not getting enough time to set his feet, to look over the field, to read the defense, and try to deliver the ball. Every time he goes back there, he's accompanied by a few purple shirts.
2nd and 10 at the 46 of the Vikings. 40 seconds to go in the first quarter. Tony gets to the 43 where Studwell and Howard make the stop. There's a flag down at around the 45-yard line. The clock, though, is continuing to run, so apparently that is not a penalty marker. Gain of 4. There is a yellow flag down there, but it means nothing. There's the flag.
You know, it's got a little mustard on it, Dick. That might be a hot dog wrapper.
That's what it is. Yep. That's what it is. The quarter will run down, and that's the end of the first quarter. Minnesota Vikings really picking up where they left off last week in front of the Eagles 10-0. Patriots and the Bears, they're 2-1. The Eagles, after an opening game victory at Tampa Bay, lost to Cincinnati and Washington. Now they're faced with a 3rd down and 6 on the 42-yard line of the Vikings. They're 0 for 3 in 3rd down conversion so far, Philadelphia. Cunningham goes down. Jesse Solomon with help from Keith Millard. And right now it's been a piece of cake for the Minnesota Vikings defense. And an injured player on the field is Ron Heller, the right tackle for the Eagles.
Vikings brought 6 rushers that time. Both linebackers came in the nickel defense, and what they did is they all rushed in their lanes, came up the field, did not allow Cunningham to find a hole in the pass rush to get free for perhaps a run or perhaps a pass down the field.
It's been a revamped offensive line for the Eagles. They're just solidifying that area. Dave Remington came over from Cincinnati. Heller, former Seattle Seahawk, and Singletary and Tamburello practically rookies. Matt Darwin is the only veteran back there. It's something in the eye.
Watch Al Baker's right hand poke Heller right between the face mask and right in the eye. I'm not sure that's why he's hurt, but they appear to be looking at his eyes.
Yeah, that's why he's hurt. Yeah. Al Baker.
Watch Al Baker, number 77, his right hand. This is like the Three Stooges right here. Point. And that hurts.
That's unusual. I've never seen anything as open as that.
You won't see any plays like that as open or as flagrant. I'm not sure that Baker meant to hurt him. Maybe he's trying to make a point by pointing at him, but he got him. I would expect to see Heller back, though. Maybe he'll wear one of those Darth Vader shields now.
Scores from around the league as they come in. John Telchik, who had a bruised left elbow, is back and will kick. And Leo Lewis is back for the Vikings at the 10-yard line. Every time you turn around, the Minnesota Vikings have the ball in their possession. We're 5 seconds into the second quarter here in Minnesota.
This is like the old dance song, 1, 2, 3, kick, right? And they've had 1, 2, 3 and punt almost every possession so far.
And they're spending extra time, I'm sure, in blocking for Telchik. Fair catch called for by Lewis. It bounces at the 21. And the Eagles will down it right about the 13-yard line. Scott Curtis. Next Saturday on CBS Sports, it'll be LSU against Florida. Florida off to an impressive start.
4-0, and yesterday they shut out Mississippi State 17-0.
LSU lost to Ohio State in the last minute, 36-33. But they've got Tom Hodson, a Heisman hopeful, and so it'll be the Florida Gators and the LSU Tigers, 2:30 Eastern Time next Saturday on CBS Sports. Minnesota ball. They have the first down on the 13-yard line, leading 10-0. That's Tommy Kramer's number so far. Alan Rice, not much. Byron Evans, the middle linebacker, making the stop. The Philadelphia Eagles defense has been tough, as you mentioned, against the run. Last week they gave up just their first 2 rushing touchdowns against the Redskins.
And those stats of Kramer's weren't that impressive, only 4 out of 10, but the impressive number on those stats is the number of yards he's thrown for. When you play a type of gambling, aggressive defense like the Eagles, you're not going to throw for a high percentage. You're going to throw for a lot of yards if you can complete a couple.
Leo Lewis, who's replaced Hassan Jones, who had that toe injury, is to the left, Carter to the right on 2nd and 9. On the ground again is Rice. And he's nailed just short of the 20-yard line. Will bring up 3rd and about 4. Byron Evans again making the play at middle linebacker. Well, if you thought the first quarter was impressive for Minnesota, look what they have done from the second quarter on. Those are really phenomenal numbers, Dan, giving up only 6.
60 points and only giving up 6. You're going to win a lot of games, and they're probably one of the reasons why a lot of people at this time feel that the Vikings may be the best team in all of football.
Well, going into the Chicago Bear game, everyone seemed to think maybe it was premature and that the Bears were still the Bears. Vikings changed that. Now they want to continue that song. 3rd and 3 for Minnesota on their 20. Kramer's pass intended for Carter is incomplete. Evans, the middle linebacker, defending on the play. And as you pointed out, he had averaged 20 yards per completion, so he had gone for the big play. Here's Heller, and they say Ron will be back at right tackle. He was poked in the eye by Bubba Baker, sent him to the sidelines, and now Bucky Scribner will punt for the 2nd time inside his 5. Mark Konechny deep for the Eagles. 10-0 Minnesota early here in the 2nd quarter. Scribner nearly got that kick blocked by Waters, picked up by Konechny, and he is hit at the 45 of Minnesota. Making the play was Sam Hanno. And so the Philadelphia Eagles, following that 27-yard kick by Scribner, will start out in Minnesota territory.
Scribner will catch this snap from center and then kind of drift off to his left into the path of Andre Waters, who just barely gets a hand on the ball. But if Scribner steps straight up the field to kick it, Waters doesn't have a chance.
The Eagles offense hasn't had a chance thus far. They have a first down on the Minnesota 44. Anthony Toney going wide. Toney knocked out of bounds at the 41-yard line by Jesse Solomon. Dan, what does an offense have to do that has been so erratic? 4 possessions so far, 1-2-3 punt. Like you say, it's been like a dance step. And what, as a quarterback, what can an offense do to get in sync again?
I think what Randall has to tell his guys is, hey, listen, there's a lot of time left in this game. We're only down 10-0. We've got good field position. Let's not worry about what has happened. Let's just concentrate a little bit more and execute. 2nd
down and 6 for the Eagles on the Viking 41. This time Toney with Byers blocking, and Dolman will bring him down. A loss on the play of a yard. Chris Dolman, and began as a linebacker, now as an outstanding defensive end.
Toney gets the pitch from Cunningham, and nobody blocks Chris Dolman. And when you're the best player on the defensive line, it's nice when nobody blocks you. It makes the play easy for you.
Story of the game so far, 10-0 in favor of the Minnesota Vikings. They have dominated the time of possession and the offense and the defense, you name it.
The scoreboard?
3rd down 7 for the Eagles. Cunningham fires, and Mike Quick makes the catch at the 25. Reggie Rutland on the tackle, and a first down for Philadelphia, 17 yards.
Another thing I wanted to mention, what you do is you throw the ball to your best receiver. Cunningham really has nice protection this time, but Quick does a nice job of getting off inside and giving Cunningham a nice lane to throw the ball.
That's the first down of the game for the Eagles. And yesterday when we talked to Cunningham, he said, look, I'd rather get Mike Quick going first than even establishing my running game.
Well, Quick can come back to the huddle and tell the quarterback how he can beat the defensive back, and not just that he can, or why he can beat him. Very important communication.
First down, Eagles on the 25-yard line. Byers finds a hole, and Keith Byers gets inside the 15 for another Philadelphia first down. John Harris on the stop, good for 12 yards. Now looks like the Eagles, with the running game going wide, getting something going.
This is a great block on Chris Martin out here by Anthony Toney, and Byers, this is where he's most effective. Outside, he's got great speed, and a nice tackle by John Harris, but Byers has got to get involved in the offense as well.
Martin has replaced David Howard at left outside backer. Walker Lee Ashley for Studwell in the middle. 1st and 10 for the Eagles on the Minnesota 12. Keith Jackson went in motion, illegal procedure, and Byers is stuck for a loss. Back to the 20-yard line of 8 yards. Joey Browner and Chris Martin again. Looks like Keith Jackson got a bit confused on the line.
He was definitely in motion going forward when the ball was snapped, and this is going to make Buddy awfully mad.
Illegal motion, number 88. Offense has declined. 2nd down.
They'll take the 7-yard loss. There's Buddy Ryan with Matt Cavanaugh, the backup quarterback.
This has been the problem with the Eagles all year, the not being able to score when they get down in this plus 20-yard line.
It really plagued them against the Redskins last week. 2nd down and 17. Byers is stretched wide to the right. Cunningham. And the Vikings are playing, obviously, for Cunningham's ability to run. They are looking at him and watching him, and he gets just a couple, and it was Solomon and Dolman on the play that time.
Cunningham wants to go to Keith Jackson here. He's on a corner route. There you can see him eyeballing him, but sometimes when you have more confidence in your running ability, as Randall Cunningham obviously has, you see that big hole open up, you think you're going to get the yardage, but the Vikings are not dropping that deep in their coverage on zone coverages. The linebackers are getting about 5 to 6 yards, then they're turning around and finding out where is Cunningham.
They have 4 wide receivers, 3rd and 15 for the Eagles on the 17 of the Vikings. Cunningham drills it in the crowd, and a penalty marker down. Carter, the intended receiver, was hit hard by 2 of the Vikings. Isaac Holt.
Defense, number 30.
Isaac Holt. Pass interference call and a break. There's Jerry Burns. Big break for the Eagles here.
Pretty easy to call this one. Holt will arrive just before the ball does. Sticks his hand in there nicely, but he got him with the shoulder. No chance at all for Carter. Carter on a hook pattern there. Holt's trying as hard as he can, but just got there a little bit too soon.
First Viking penalty of the game, and that'll be 1st and goal on the 7. That was a costly one. It was 3rd and long on that play. 10-0 Minnesota. Byers up the middle. Maybe a yard, that's all. 9:25 remaining in the first half. Vikings lead 10-0. It'll be 2nd down and goal.
They're going to have trouble running the ball in from about the 6-yard line. They're going to have to open it up a little bit. The Viking defensive front is very tough, and traditionally they've had a great goal line defense.
Toney and Byers, the running backs. Toney in motion. Cunningham swings it to Toney, gets to the 1-yard line, and stays in bounds. Joey Browner saved the touchdown on that play. It'll be 3rd and goal, and now Anthony Toney is limping off the field. Michael Haddix and Jimmy Giles, the 2nd tight end, report for the Eagles.
Well, if Toney is injured seriously, that's really going to hurt the Eagles. He's their guy that can do it all. They have a lot of confidence in his abilities, not only as a natural ball player, but just he's a very smart, heady player. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Big play here.
That's how tough it's been for the Eagles inside the 30. 3rd and 1. Byers leaps, touchdown, Philadelphia. Little scramble after the score, but Keith Byers has his first touchdown of the season, and the Philadelphia Eagles cut the Viking lead to 10-6.
And the Viking fans aren't too happy about the spike by Keith Byers. 240 pounds going up over the top. And you're just not going to stop this big man. Easy touchdown.
Dale Dawson, the new kicker for the Eagles, with Telchik holding. Dawson out of Eastern Kentucky. had won the kicking job before he was put on injured reserve in August. Now he's back. And the kick is good. And with 8 minutes and 9 seconds remaining in the first half, the Philadelphia Eagles finally get untracked and trail the Vikings 10-7. Minnesota, very short kick, and Harris on the run at the 20-yard line. And it's the kicker, Dawson, with help from William Frizzell, who rides him out of bounds. A woefully short kick that time by Dawson.
He got all of the kicking tee, though. It went 35 yards.
Well, coming up next on CBS, the second half of our NFL doubleheader. The LA Rams against the New York Giants at Giants Stadium. That'll be a good one, as will San Francisco and Seattle. And some of you will see the Redskins with Mark Rippon at quarterback against Phoenix. But, Dan, let's talk about the Rams-Giants battle. The Rams are undefeated.
One of the real surprise teams in the NFL, and it'll be interesting to see if Greg Bell can get 100 yards against that tough Giant defense.
Should be a low-scoring game. First and 10, Vikings on their own 37. 8 minutes exactly remaining in the half. Kramer gets hit. He was going for Anderson, and covering was Joyner on the play. Right now, time for an NFL Today report. Here's Brent Musburger. Brent?
Well, Dick, the Chicago Bears have just put a little pressure on the Minnesota Vikings. Watch the lead block by Van Horn. He crushes the Packer. Neil Anderson does the rest. 45 yards for the touchdown. They make their extra point. They're up 7-6. Let's go back to Dick.
Always a tough rivalry. There's Floyd Peters.
Floyd's one of the old line football coaches. He's had a great career as a ball player and is an outstanding technician. Players love to play for him.
Played with the Eagles for many years. Second and 10. Kramer passes high off the hands of Allen Rice. Kramer now in a slump has completed only one of his last 9 passes, including an interception by Joyner.
Now, one of the things the Eagles wanted to do early in the game was knock Tommy around, and he's got a little blood on his pants. He's being knocked around a little bit, and you start to see some overthrows, something that has bothered Tommy throughout his career. If he's going to miss a pass, it's going to be high 9 times out of 10.
He was the top-rated passer in the league just 2 years ago. 3 wide receivers for Minnesota on 3rd and 10 on their own 37. Penalty marker down. I think the Eagles that time. Free play. Reggie White might have jumped off sides. And if that's the case, the Vikings will have a 3rd and 5.
That's really inexcusable, Dick, especially in the shotgun formation. The quarterback's not giving a hard count from 5 yards deep in the backfield. Just a little lack of concentration here. Number 92, Reggie White, into the old demilitarized zone. And then he quits on the play, gives the Vikings another free play.
You know, maybe he's frustrated more than he will admit at the fact that he only has 1 quarterback sack this year.
You know, he is frustrated, but he would like to have all those big sacks. He's done a good job putting pressure on the quarterback, but he's got to quit making mistakes like that.
Got a lot of hurries, though, but only 1 sack, 21 last year. 3rd and 5 following the penalty. Kramer wide open as Anderson. Alfred Anderson with a first down into Eagle territory to the 39. Eric Allen drove him out of bounds, but not before Anderson picks up 19 big yards.
Anderson's number 46 coming out of the backfield on the left side here. What we don't see is a little out and up move. He leaves Eric Everett in his dust right there, number 42, and he's wide open down the sidelines. And Tommy's on the mark, and nothing like a completion to get you feeling good about yourself again.
First catch of the game by Anderson, and a first down for Minnesota on the Eagle 39. Kramer up the middle, and they'll call it incomplete. And it is a completed pass. It's a completed pass and a fumble, and the Eagles recover. Byron Evans makes the recovery, and Steve Jordan, the tight end out of the the line.
Great hit by Wes Hopkins right here. He hits him right on the ball. This is a fumble all the way. Good call by the officials, and the Eagles are there to recover.
He had the right play, and he fumbled in Wes Hopkins with a big recovery.
Very few safeties will hit you as hard as Wes Hopkins. Good to see that he's come all the way back from that terrible knee injury he had, and he's really an inspiration to that defense. Not a lot of veterans on that Eagle ball club in general, and when they see a veteran like Wes go through the rehab that he had, it's a tremendous lift for the entire club.
They're reviewing that. The replay official is Bill Fetty, and the communicator is Bill Granholm, and my first instincts indicated an incomplete pass, but the officials said otherwise, and they're going to take a look at it.
Well, there were 2 or 3 officials on the field that threw their little bean bags. Now, what that means is that's to signal that it is a fumble, and the bean bags are to mark where the ball was fumbled from, where the change of possession happened. And I saw 2 or 3 of them come out, so it's going to be very difficult for them to reverse this decision.
Yeah, and on the replay, it looked as if he had made a couple of steps before he lost the ball, and the question is, did he have possession?
And then you see the reaction of the tight end of Jordan after he dropped the ball. He got up immediately and went running for the loose ball, trying to recover it himself. This is what the view they're probably really studying right now. Jordan is wide open, but then Hopkins comes right in. He did have possession. He did take a couple of steps, and he did fumble.
Well, they did not reverse the call, and it is a fumble. And it is recovered by the Eagles, who have the ball on the 22-yard line. So another turnover. The Eagles trailing 10-7 with 7:31 to go in the first half, and Keith Byers trying to go outside, brush through one would-be tackler. Keith Millard makes the tackle, not before Solomon had a chance at him first. Picked up about 2 yards, 2.5 on the play.
That's a tough 2.5 yards too, Dick. He really was stopped at the line of scrimmage, or maybe even behind the line of scrimmage. Great strength to pull away from Solomon and get those short yardage.
Steve Jordan, one of the most prolific tight ends in the league, and the most prolific tight end in Viking history. Looks like he's having a little problem.
He has a little problem. He took that big lick from Wes Hopkins, and he's shaking up a little bit.
2nd and 8. On the 24 of Philadelphia. Cunningham going up on top for Mike Quick, and Carl Lee defending, and maybe called for face guarding as the ball glanced off his helmet. He was not going for the ball, and if they call it against Lee, that will be the reason. But let's see who gets called, and apparently it's Philadelphia guilty. What do you think?
Well, I'd like to see it again. We know one thing: the referees won't review this. They won't review a play like this. I don't see any contact at all. The only thing I see is a bullseye in the back of the helmet there. Strange call. It didn't appear to me that there was any contact. There wasn't any face guarding. Wasn't anything.
Pass interference. Offense number 82. 10 yards. It's still
Unless it was a push-off early.
Well, let's look at it from the line of scrimmage. When the ball is in the air is when they're supposed to call pass interference. There's the push with the right hand, and I can't believe they called that.
Again, it doesn't seem to be in the spirit. A quick kick by Cunningham. Randall Cunningham with a quick kick with the Vikings up on the line, and it goes out of bounds at the 27-yard line. So maybe it's Mississippi and LSU 1959 all over again, Dan.
Well, it's a game of field position too, Dick, and that's a 58-yarder. He's going to make the Pro Bowl as a punter.
A 58-yard kick, and that's not the first time Cunningham has done it against the Redskins. 2 years ago, he also quick kicked.
He's in the shotgun formation, and what he can't do is step forward. He steps one back and then comes forward and really unloads.
Well, that's the second kick of 50 yards plus today.
The other thing, there's no safety back there, so you don't have to kick a high punt. You can kick a line drive and hope for the roll, and on the carpet like this, you're going to get that roll.
Vikings with the ball on their 28-yard line. 2 tight ends for Minnesota. 2 tight ends and Allen Rice the one setback. Now they bring Malarkey out wide left. Rice. And the Eagles stuffed that running play. Mike Pitts and Jerome Brown. There's that Darth Vader helmet that many of the Vikings have worn. That's Isaac Holtz.
One of the reasons that the Vikings are actually the first team to use that shield, they used to use during the baseball season here, instead of paint on the lines, they had actually chalk on the lines, and the players were complaining of getting the chalk in their eyes and it burning their eyes. So it's also very fashionable. You see a lot of players around the league using it now.
There's Randall McDaniel, who's moved into a starting spot, the rookie top pick from Arizona State, left guard. He's got one. 2nd and 9, Minnesota. Kramer will take the sack. Back at the 20, Reggie White nails him. And that's the 2nd sack of the year for White, and it's good for a 9-yard loss.
Kramer just kind of folds up here. He sees that he doesn't have anything in the secondary. One of the things the Eagles are doing in their secondaries, they're playing more zone now and trying, they feel confident they can get pressure on Kramer with just their front 4.
21 last year, 2 this year. 3rd down and 18. First time the Eagles have had the Vikings in 3rd and real long yardage today. Here's their rush. Kramer gets hit by White. Completes it, however, to Leo Lewis, but short of a first down by a whopping margin, and Lewis is out of bounds at the 28 by Eric Everett, and that will bring up 4th down.
If you're an Eagle fan, you got to be feeling good about things right now. I know the players are feeling that they're evening things out right now, and the momentum may be shifting to the Eagle side of the ball.
Bucky Scribner will come in and kick, and Mark Konechny goes back for Philadelphia, and that's a good point. You're down 10-0 on the road. You don't want to fold your tent, but sometimes it creeps into your mind and you hang in there. Now they're in the game. 10-7 is pretty good margin.
And they're going to get good field position.
Konechny will let it bounce, takes a Minnesota roll into his hand. And he's down at the 29. Great coverage by the Minnesota Vikings. Ray Berry and Sam Hanno on the play following the 46-yard kick. 5:47 to go in the first half. 10-7 our count. Inning.
You know, quarterbacks are very smart people. You get knocked down, you don't want to fight anybody. He's already knocked you down. Tell him, good job, thanks. Now let me up. Tommy Kramer and Reggie White after a play a couple downs ago.
And I'm sure Kramer said that I don't want to see you again in my face the rest of the day.
I'm afraid he's going to, though.
Eagles 1st and 10 on their 30-yard line. Anthony Toney and Keith Byers, the running backs. Cunningham gets time, going for Mike Quick up the middle. And Mike Quick makes the catch, and a big play for the Eagles inside the 25 of Minnesota. A 50-yard gain to Mike Quick. John Harris and Isaac Holt made the stop. He thread the needle on that one.
Well, there's no way this ball should have been complete. John Harris is responsible for the deep middle of the field. Number 44 is there in position. He sees Quick coming, but this throw is just beyond him, and that's something that defensive secondary just cannot allow happen, especially the weak safeties.
A 50-yard play. Quick has already caught a 55-yard touchdown pass this year, and now the Eagles are threatening to tie or take the lead. 1st and 10 on the Viking 22. Cunningham. Carter, the intended receiver, and Holt knocked the ball away. It took a while for the ball to get there.
One of the things on the previous play, Harris may have underestimated the strength of Cunningham's arm. That ball went in the air about 60 yards. He was in position to make the play, but the ball just kept sailing right on over his head.
Cunningham last week completed less than 50% of his passes for only the 3rd time since his rookie season. Right now he has completed 6 of 10. 2nd and 10 at the 22, double tight ends for the Eagles. Cunningham going up top to Quick again. He's got it for the touchdown. So the combination of Cunningham and Quick have worked wonders on this quick drive. And the Philadelphia Eagles have wrested the lead from the Minnesota Vikings 13-10 with just under 5 minutes remaining in the first half. And that has silenced the crowd. One thing you want to do to silence 63,000 fans, make plays like that.
And especially in a dome. Quick is the guy that Ted Plum says it's hard to find anyone that's better than Mike Quick in the National Football League, including Anthony Carter and Jerry Rice.
That says a mouthful. Dale Dawson on the conversion is good. And the Eagles lead the Vikings 14-10 for Mike Quick, his third touchdown reception of the year.
Quick is going to be running just a go pattern on the inside. And this is a nice toss here, nice and soft and right on the money. Look at the isolation now. Quick and Isaac Holt. Just pure speed. He's just going to run right by him. And then, of course, the quarterback's always the second guy to know it's a touchdown. After Mike Quick, Randall Cunningham, he's fired up, and the Eagles are looking good right now.
That's the 5th touchdown pass by Cunningham. He has thrown only 2 interceptions. And it's interesting, he told us yesterday, and I repeat what he said, that, you know, I want to establish Quick before I establish the running game, but it took him a while to get to Mike.
Well, everybody's looking to Mike Quick on that football team to be their guy. He's their game breaker. He's the guy that is the veteran out there. He's a leader. And once he gets feeling good about himself, that carries the whole ball club.
The Eagles went 70 yards in 3 plays, under a minute for the score. Dale Dawson will be kicking off. Darrell Harris goes deep for the Vikings. 4 minutes and 54 seconds to go in the first half. The Vikings led 10-0 after 1 quarter. Looked like they were going to drive the Eagles off the field.
That's 1 quarter was all Vikings, 2nd quarter all Eagles.
Dawson kicks it, and it bounces, picked up by Harris. And Harris goes down the sidelines with a couple of men to beat and is out at the 32. And that'll really get Buddy Ryan's goat, because it was a fine kickoff. The Eagles had the Vikings hemmed in, and Darrell Harris got away, and Doug Bartlett stopped an even bigger gain.
Good job by Harris keeping his wits. He's really penned in right here. Great block by Alfred Anderson. And then down the sidelines, not very good contain on the Eagles. Now we'll allow that kicker to miss him. He just joined the team.
Buddy Ryan supporting his defense there, exhorting them on. 14-10 the score. Each team has the full complement of timeouts remaining. Play action for Kramer. Kramer up the middle. Pass is caught to Steve Jordan, the tight end, and a first down after 46. Andre Waters on the stop, 15 yards that time.
Steve Jordan is one of the better pass receiving tight ends in the league, if not the best. He's got great hands. He's a real finesse type of player. As you can see, the ability to reach behind him to make that catch. Kramer again will get a little knockdown here. This time it's Mike Pitts.
And a first down for the Vikings on the Eagle. Check it on their own 48-yard line. Clock running. There's the time remaining in the first half. Same play on a play action. This time he wanted to dump it off to Fenney, but the pass was low, although Fenney was all alone at the 45.
He was all alone, and it would have made a nice gain on the play, but Kramer was coming down to him as maybe his 3rd receiver on the play, looking to go deep to begin with. Stepped up in the pocket, delivered the ball, but then got knocked down. The more you get knocked down as a quarterback, the more it affects your play. Fenney is standing wide open there. Maybe he should have made that catch to help the old quarterback out.
Anything to help the old quarterback out, that's what I say.
Well, me and Tommy, he's a youngster, though.
2nd and 10 at the 48. Kramer, and he threw a little bit behind Anderson and low. It was deflected, I believe, at the line.
I think Jerome Brown might have got a hand on this one, and again, the Eagle defense seems to be rising to the occasion here. Look at Anthony Carter here on Roy Nell Young now. He's going to give every move he's got to try to get open on this play. And, of course, he'd like to see that ball almost every down. And with got a player like him, I got to believe I'd throw the ball to him as often as possible.
Well, the Eagles woke up, and they got the ball to Mike Quick. And he delivered. 3rd and 10 Vikings on the 48. Kramer leads Rice a little too much, and Seth Joyner was defending on the play. It'll be 4th down. And Kramer really has been way off the mark on his last 3 passing attempts.
This one really hurts because this is going to be a big gain down the middle. Anderson is on a just a little crossing route here. Alan Rice, that is. And he's wide open, but Tommy missed the mark.
As you know, the Vikings have the musical chairs quarterback story with Tommy Kramer and Wade Wilson. Wilson started the opening game. Kramer says that last year you didn't know what to expect. This year you do. You don't deliver, the other guy will get in. Scribner will punt, and back is Konechny for Philadelphia. Good high kick and a fair catch called by Konechny on the 10-yard line. So Scribner does his job in brilliant fashion, a 42-yard kick. Well, coming up at halftime, Brent Erb and Dick Butkus will have all the scores and highlights. And remember the great Ram teams of the past? Well, they were built around defense, the fearsome foursome. But now the offensive line is the talk of L.A., and Dick Butkus will take a look at these new stars, the fearsome fivesome. Oh, tempers flaring on and off here with these two clubs, and
both teams have experienced a bit of frustration here today. Things have gone well to begin with. Here we'll see a little shoving and pushing. A little headbutt there. Hello, how are you? Reggie Brown. He likes to get fired up out there.
David Howard and Joan Brown and the Eagles will start from their own 10-yard line. Their worst starting position of the game, but Byers helps out the attack with a burst-off tackle to the 14. Tim Newton makes the stop for the Vikings.
The important thing that Cunningham and the rest of the Eagles have got to concentrate on now is not to turn the ball over. Don't leave it on the ground. That play on first down picked up about 4 yards. They're in good position now to continue to run the ball. Coming down to the end of the first half, it's important to, if they're not going to score, the Eagles that is, make sure the Vikings don't score.
2nd down and 6, Philadelphia on their 14. Make it 2nd and 5. Penalty markers fly. Jerry Burns has to be feeling low after that impressive first quarter.
Well, he talked about he wasn't sure how his team was going to play today, if they were going to, there was going to be that letdown or not. And it appeared when they started the game no letdown, but this second quarter they've been very, very flat.
Millard here on, there it is. 2nd down and 5. Keith Millard, who has become a mainstay up front. Doug Martin, who ended a 54-day holdout and signed and activated, replaces Al Baker on the defensive line. Cunningham is tackled from behind by Keith Millard. 2.5 minutes remaining in the first half.
Cunningham wanted to come out and throw this ball right now to Anthony Toney. He sees that he's covered, and then just the old athletic ability takes over.
Well, as we mentioned at the outset, both coaches just talked about Randall Cunningham, how to give him time for Philadelphia, for Minnesota, how to get him, and here's why. Look what he's done with that offense.
Well, how do you defense a guy that makes 7 yards every time he rushes with the ball and 7 yards every time he tries a pass? Vikings calling timeout here, though. 2 minutes to go, 2:10 before the end of the half. And interesting call that they would call timeout here right now.
That's their first timeout. They have 2 left. And apparently, and it's with 1st and 10, so you know you don't know that you're going to get the ball back, and so if anything, you're giving a break to the Eagles here, it would appear.
The important thing, as I said earlier, though, for the Eagles, and Cunningham demonstrated his maturity on that last play, not forcing the ball. Only needed 1 yard for the first down. Saw that his man wasn't as clear as he would like him to be, so he didn't take the chance. He may get a reprieve here, though. With the Vikings calling timeout, the Eagles offensive coaches there, Ted Plum, may be talking to him about throwing the ball down the field. You know, Mike Quick is an amazing receiver in the fact that he can come back to the quarterback, and a lot of receivers, hey, I'm open, I'm open. But the question is, why are you open? What are you doing to get open, or what is that defensive back doing against you in coverage that makes you think you're open? Well, Mike Quick can tell the quarterback, and he can tell Ted Plum on the sidelines exactly what's happening there, and he can get open.
Ken Reeves, by the way, has been the right tackle since Ron Heller went out, was poked in the eye by Al Baker. Here's Byers on 1st and 10. down to our 2-minute warning. Millard and Walker Lee Ashley on the tackles. Gain of about a yard. So we'll take a timeout. 2 minutes remaining in the second quarter.
2 minutes.
Dome in the second quarter, the Eagles have scored 2 touchdowns, and the Vikings have just called a timeout here.
Well, it's a 2-minute warning, Dick, and what in effect they're getting is 4 timeouts. They get their own 3. The smart play that they made was to call that timeout before the 2-minute warning.
2nd and 8 at the 25 for the Eagles. Cunningham getting better protection as of late. Completes to Keith Jackson. Out of bounds at the 30-yard line. That's his first reception of the game. Joey Browner on the stop. The clock stops as well. It'll be 3rd down and about 3. One of the best in the league, Browner, got a little overzealous against the Bears on successive plays last week.
Well, he is the best athlete on that entire defense, and he's the guy that will come up with a big play sooner or later in this game or any game.
3rd and 3. Cunningham has Byers. Byers has the first down at the 38-yard line. Jesse Solomon on the stop, and the clock now shows 1:50 to go, and it is stopped, and the Eagles still have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. They have scored 14 points here in the second quarter, and that is more than the Vikings had given up all season long in the last 3 quarters of games.
And what they're doing is they're making sure of their play. They're not taking a lot of chances. They're throwing very conservatively. They're moving the ball down the field, and now they're in position to where they can use their timeouts and perhaps get a field goal.
9 first downs this quarter alone for the Eagles. Cunningham dumps it off to Tony. And he goes right between a couple of defenders, and Anthony Tony fumbles. The Vikings recover. A big gain goes by the wayside, and Carl Lee recovers a fumble after a 23-yard gain by Anthony Tony, and the Eagles have coughed up their first fumble of the year.
This may really come back to haunt them later in this ball game because they're moving now. Everything they're doing is right. Tony makes a wonderful run here, and then he just leaves the ball on the ground after getting hit from behind by, guess who? Joey Browner.
So for the first time this year, the Eagles have lost a fumble, and with 1:38 to go, the Vikings on their own 38 in a dramatic reversal here in the waning moments of the first half. Rice close to a first down and near midfield for the Vikings. Todd Bell on the stop. Minnesota lining up. They called a couple of plays. 2 timeouts remaining. There's Joey Browner. Another big play for him. 1st and 10 on the 48 of Minnesota. And Kramer in trouble, and down he goes inside his own 40. Reggie White and Mike Pitts in a very big sack for the Eagles there.
And it is a big sack. It takes them back about 10 yards, and it forces the Vikings to use it the second of their 3 timeouts. Good pressure up front. White just whips the center right now, Loudermilk, and is right in on Kramer. And Reggie, you know, I asked him yesterday, I said, well, is the reason you're not getting a lot of sacks because you're not playing outside as much? But he prefers to play inside against that center when they're in the 46 defense there, because the center is absolutely helpless. He's blocking him man on man. The center has to hike the ball to the quarterback and get his hands up quick. And Reggie, there are none quicker in the NFL than Reggie White rushing that passer.
1 timeout left for Minnesota. That's a very impressive defensive line with Pitts, Jerome Brown, and Clyde Simmons. And White said, you know, we think we have the best athletes on the defensive line. Now we have to prove it. And he and Jerome Brown are quite an engaging pair, aren't they? And our talks with them yesterday.
Very engaging, a lot of fun, and they enjoy what they're doing. You know, they're having a lot of fun. They're young. They're making a lot of cash, you know.
Support each other.
They're getting quarterbacks knocked down. They really do support each other, and the entire front line plays as a unit.
2nd down and 19 now for the Vikings. 1:11 remaining in the first half. Kramer has pressure again, and down he goes again, and it's Mr. White, Reggie White, with his 3rd sack. You know, it was Jerome Brown, who's the right tackle, who said, you know, before every game they say, okay, Clyde Simmons, you get 1 sack. Jerome Brown, you get 1 sack. Mike Pitts 1 sack. Reggie, you get 3. He says it's not fair to Reggie.
Well, Reggie may get 3 or 4 today. That time, what the Vikings tried to do is they tried to double on Reggie in the middle with the fullback Rick Finney. He ran over both of them and got to Tommy Kramer.
And he got his 3rd sack already. 3rd down and 27.
And they're going to let this clock run down as far as it can possibly go because the field position is just impossible for them.
Kramer with 3rd and 1,000,000. Hits Anthony Carter. And he gets into Eagle territory, but they're short of a 1st down by about 6 yards or 7. 21-yard pickup. 22 seconds to go. And a timeout called by the...
It would seem that Carter is going to beat Eric Allen on this play, but this is a zone defense. This is the dead area. The Eagles know how far the Vikings needed for the 1st down, and they're not going to let them have it. Another big hit on Kramer, and he's got to be feeling these shots because not only has he been sacked a number of times already in this 1st half, but he's almost being knocked down on every pass attempt. Blood all over his uniform. His left thumb is sore. He hurt his hand.
And that is why that the Vikings called a timeout. That's the last thing they probably wanted to do at that point on 4th down and 5 yards to go, but they had to.
One thing about Reggie White, we talked with Tim Irwin, the Viking offensive tackle, who's has to block Reggie a great part of the day today. He said that, you know, Reggie doesn't have a whole lot of sacks so far this year, but he's mauled a lot of offensive linemen on the way to the quarterback.
Is that why the Vikings called a timeout, because of Kramer? Because he was going to the sidelines anyway.
I think that they were trying to... they did call the timeout, but what I really think is that Tommy was feeling that, hey, we can still get the 1st down and keep the ball going.
Scribner will punt. Konechny is back. See what Scribner does do with 22 seconds remaining. Good high kick. And it goes into the end zone with 14 seconds remaining in the 1st half. A 48-yard kick. And now we have some flare up again in the middle of the field, and they have to separate a couple of the athletes. And Jerome Brown just threw one of the Vikings away like he were a rag doll. Carl Lee.
Well, compared to Jerome Brown, he is a rag doll, little defensive back. Referees have got to take control, and there is one less ref working here. We lost our umpire earlier in the game, Mr. Ansick, and he got hit on a pass play, and now we're going to get ready to play again.
Well, we saw a game with Tampa Bay and Green Bay where 2 players were flailing at each other and no one was thrown out of the game, so that's going to be really the last thing they'll do. And this one wasn't anything major. 1st and 10 for the Eagles on the 20-yard line with 14 seconds to go in the half. Randall Cunningham and the Eagle offense come alive in the 2nd quarter after trailing 10-0. Tony, who fumbled earlier, cradling the ball, gets to the 25, and the Eagles not going to take any chances. Millard on the stop, and that will do it for the 1st half.
And the Eagles really dodged a bullet after Tony's turnover. Vikings had good field position, but the defense came up and made a couple of big sacks.
Well, the Vikings came out strong, but it's the Eagles who have the lead, and that is the end of the 1st half here in Minneapolis with the score. The Philadelphia Eagles 14, the Minnesota Vikings 10. Expect that. Tommy Kramer finished kind of on the wobbly side.
Well, he's got a wrap on that left hand now, and he's been knocked down a lot of times. 3 sacks, and only has completed 9 out of 21 through that 1 interception.
And he is really kind of distributing equally his tosses.
Anthony Carter's only caught 2 passes, though, Dick, for 38 yards, and you'd expect him to get a little more involved in the 2nd half.
Philadelphia Eagles, of course, Randall Cunningham also keeping the ball in the air, and he has hit Mike Quick. 3 passes. And he's gone mostly to the wide receivers and the running back. Went quick, of course, a 50-yard reception, which preceded his 22-yard catch for the score that put the Eagles in front. So Chuck Nelson will be kicking off for the Vikings. Sean Beals is back for the Eagles. 14-10 the score. The Eagles trying to even their season mark at 2-2, and the Vikings want to gain impetus from their impressive win over the Bears last week. Beals on the 9-yard line, returning. Runs into his own man, Konecki, and still brings it out beyond the 25 to the 27-yard line, where Walker Lee Ashley makes the stop. So Randall Cunningham will run things. He's 10 for 14. And 1 touchdown pass.
That's very impressive considering the start that he got off to. I don't think he completed his first 2 or 3. And the thing that I like is Mike Quick's average on those 3 catches he's got. He's averaging 29 yards per catch. That'll move him probably into the lead in the NFL. Came in second in average per catch.
Eagles still struggling on the ground, averaging just over 2 yards a rush. 1st and 10 at the 28 of Philadelphia. Cunningham, bread and butter pass, won't get it off. Keith Millard. Second sack of the game by the Vikings.
Millard gets in right now, and this is a quick 3-step drop. That's very difficult for a defensive lineman to get in on a quarterback when he's taking that short drop. But Millard is having a field day going against Tamburello and Singletary up front.
Now Millard lines up as a left tackle instead of the right tackle. He switches spots. Anthony Toney stopped by Millard again. Is Millard pumped up or what? The good thing about the sack on that first play is that it was a short drop, as you mentioned, so they didn't lose many yards. But here's this last play.
Well, he is just all over Tamburello, getting right into the backfield right now, and the Eagles are running at him. If I were the Eagle quarterback right now, I might just think about finding out where Millard's lined up and going away from him. He's a load right now.
This time he lines up as a right end. Cunningham incomplete, intended for Byers. Dolman covering on the play, and so the Viking defense comes out strong. It'll be 4th down, and the Eagles will kick it away. There's Wade Wilson with his helmet on, and as we mentioned, Jerry Burns is ready to make a quarterback change at the drop of a hat or helmet.
Yeah, the problem is it's been Tommy Kramer's helmet that's being dropped on that turf out there by the Eagle front line. Wilson's going in, though.
Telchit will kick, and Leo Lewis goes back. Good high kick by Telchik, and Lewis on the 32 gets buried at the 41-yard line. Good field position. A 39-yard kick, and Wade Wilson has gone in to play quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. He started the opener against Buffalo. The Vikings lost. He was ineffective. Kramer came on, and here he is back again, Wade Wilson.
And we have a new center in the game now. This is Randy Rasmussen. Kirk Loudermilk has hurt his thumb.
1st down, and Alfred Anderson gets the carry, stumbles forward to the 47-yard line, picks up nearly 8 yards on the play. Todd Bell and Wes Hopkins on the stop. So not only do we have a new quarterback as Kramer is out and Wilson is in, but we have Rasmussen, a new center, and you wonder about the communication there.
Well, and Rasmussen just joined the team this week, and there could be a few problems there. But the Vikings ended that first half not being able to protect the quarterback. They're coming out now. The first play they gain about 7 yards. They're in good shape.
Chris Foote is the center. Rasmussen was activated, but Foote is the center there now. 2nd down and 4 at the 47 of Minnesota. Wade Wilson completes to Lewis. He's got the 1st down just barely by a yard and gets into Eagle territory. Eric Allen defending.
This is a short 3-step drop by Wilson, and he's firing it outside to Leo Lewis, who has Eric Allen beat for the short gain in the first down. The Vikings have an advantage in this situation. They have depth on this football team. They've got a new quarterback, a new center, and Lewis is filling in now for Hassan Jones, who was hurt earlier. So the depth is really coming to the front.
First down at the 48 of Philadelphia. Eagles lead 14-10. Alfred Anderson picks up 5 yards on that carry. Reggie White on the stop. On the first 2 possessions of the game, the Eagles had a touchdown, or the Vikings had a touchdown and a field goal. But in their last 7 possessions, they punted 5 times, fumbled it once, and threw 1 interception. So we'll see if they can get out of that slump of the last 7 possessions here. Second down and 5 at the 44-yard line of the Eagles. It'll be 3rd and short. Mike Pitts there to make the tackle. We're at the Metrodome in Minneapolis and a capacity crowd of 63,000 to see whether the Vikings can make it 3 out of 4. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts, and it's the Philadelphia Eagles who, after a slumbering first quarter offensively, thanks to Minnesota's defense, came alive and lead 14-10, and Wade Wilson has relieved Tommy Kramer as the Viking quarterback starting off the second half. 3rd down and 4, Vikings on the 42 of Philadelphia. Wilson, and Carter was wide open and he couldn't hold on to it.
Well, maybe one of the reasons Loudermilk's out of the game is because he hasn't been able to handle Reggie White coming right up the front. Foote does a nice job, gets help from both backs, stepping up, both Anderson and Allen Rice on the protection, but this could have been a touchdown, folks. This ball is well thrown, and it's just dropped. You won't see that happen very often, will you?
Well, that may be one time he won't go back and say, I want the ball more. So it'll be 4th down, and Scribner will punt for the Vikings, and Konechny goes back for the Eagles, as once again Philadelphia holds the Vikings offense. Fair catch called for on the end-over-end punt on the 13-yard line. So the new quarterback doesn't quite get any points, and Philadelphia, with a lead, gets the ball for the first time. The Vikings had a 10-0 lead after 1 quarter. Alfred Anderson with a 7-yard score. First possession of the game for Minnesota. Then following a block punt, Chuck Nelson kicked a field goal. And then in the second quarter, the Eagles emerged. Byers with a 1-yard run and Mike Quick with a 22-yard catch. 14-10 Eagles. They have the ball 1st and 10 on their 13. Byers and Scott Studwell closes the hole in a hurry. At the 15-yard line, a gain of 2.
Bob Schnelker was a little bit upset with Wade Wilson after the last series. I'm not quite sure why, but something to do with his play selection there. Now he's talking with Steve Jordan. I tell you one thing, things aren't going well for either offense at this time.
It's the 3rd time the Eagles have started inside their 15. Byers gets nothing there, gets to the 16. It'll be 3rd and 7. Henry Thomas making the stop for the Minnesota Vikings.
You want to play offensive lineman? Well, you've got to be able to take the old head slap as Ken Reeves comes down on Millard, and he's just taking everybody on that front line to school right now. He's uncontrollable.
Coming into the game, the Vikings defense allowed the fewest points in the league. 3rd and 7, and here's the crowd coming into effect. The loudest has been. Cunningham is dumped. Chris Dolan. And they love it in the Metrodome. The 3rd sack of the game by the Minnesota defense. First by Dolman.
Dolman's going to come from outside of your screen on the left side. He just runs right around Darwin and hits the quarterback between the 1 and the 2 and plants him.
Telchik with the kick, and Leo Lewis. Penalty marker down. Running into the kicker may be the call. Leo Lewis running it back to the 35. And dumped at the 35-yard line by William Frizzell. A 42-yard kick, but a flag is down in the end zone. And we may have running into the kicker penalty against the Minnesota Vikings. Isaac Holt was putting the rush on again. He already blocked the punt. But no, it's holding against the Eagles.
Holding offense during the kicks 33 is declined. First down, Minnesota.
Frizzell, we saw Telchik go down, but it was a holding penalty, and for some reason the Philadelphia Eagles have not been able to handle their protection in the kicking game, the punting game today.
They've had one punt block. This is their second penalty on a punt. Very unusual. This is a good snap, and Telchik sees it, catches it, and there's the hold right there. Another takedown on the outside. Jim Tunney with the right-hand throw with the flag.
Normally that's what the call would be, although that was really minimal damage to the kicker. First down for the Vikings, however, on the Eagle 35. Alfred Anderson finds the hole. And Wes Hopkins, with help from Todd Bell, bring him down, and is awfully close to a Minnesota first down at the 25.
This is a slow developing counter play. It's almost a sprint out hand back. The hole was still there by the time Anderson got there, and now he just out-muscles Wes Hopkins to get the yardage and the first down, or close to the first down, and it is.
What dimension does Wade Wilson give the Vikings that Kramer doesn't, and vice versa?
Well, the biggest problem that Tommy's had is being able to avoid the pass rush so far today, and I'm sure the thinking on the Viking sideline is that, hey, Wade Wilson is an excellent scrambler. He can get away from that pass rush, and maybe we can make some plays down the field.
He made the plays latter part of the season when he got them to the playoffs and they beat San Francisco. Benny upended after a couple inside the 25-yard line. Mike Golick in there in the defense for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And you know, the quarterback situation, we talked about it earlier, about how Kramer realizes that he'll be in the game depending on how well he plays. But Wade, he's aware of the situation also, and he knows that this football team may be on the verge of something special, and he says he likes winning. He's not going to rock the boat. Well, he's running the boat now.
He is. Golick has replaced Mike Pitts in tackle. 2nd and 7, Minnesota. Is Leo Lewis, and a first down at the 5, and Wade Wilson is on the mark. A 17-yard pickup, and the Vikings are threatening to regain the lead. Joyner and Waters finally brought Lewis down.
Lewis is in motion, number 97, and he's just going to run a little down and in, and he gets totally free from the defensive back. Leo Lewis on the play.
He had the starting job before Hassan Jones took it away from him. Jones has been out virtually the entire game with a toe injury. Now it's 1st and goal at the 5 for Minnesota. Wilson leading the Vikings on a charge. Allen Rice stopped at the line of scrimmage, maybe a half a yard. We have 7 minutes, 10 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Buddy Ryan's Eagles, who have lost 2 in a row, trying to win a big road contest today. The Vikings going back to Wade Wilson, who started their opening game this season.
Great luxury for the Vikings as they have 2 quarterbacks like this, Wilson and Kramer, especially when you look around the league and you're seeing quarterbacks going down every week. Kramer's a little dinged up today, had an ineffective first half. Great luxury to be able to go to a quarterback like Wade Wilson in the second half.
2nd and goal. Rice. It'll be 3rd and goal, and now the Vikings are finding out how tough it is to run against the Eagles' defense, particularly close to the goal line. Byron Evans was the first man there.
But he likes what he sees. Byron Evans really met the ball carrier right in the hole that time. He's got him fired up right now. The Vikings will come in with a bunch of wide receivers, see if they can throw it across the goal line.
Buddy Ryan's enjoying this Eagle team as opposed to his first couple of clubs. He says they're young and enthusiastic. He says they get over losses a lot faster than I do.
They're young is the key word there.
3rd and goal at the 3. They extend the field and they bring Malarkey outside. Wilson gets in, touchdown. With a running touchdown for Minnesota.
He gets the touchdown, but he paid for it. He really made up his mind. He was going for the end zone, lowers his head, and he meets 2 Eagles right on the goal line, and he's shaken up a little bit.
Terry Hogan Waters and Buddy Ryan.
Buddy wishes he would have been the 3rd guy to make that tackle. It would have kept him out of that end zone. Is that a spike?
Yes, it is. Chuck Nelson. Scribner holding. Kick is good. And the Minnesota Vikings, who once had a 10-0 lead, have regained the lead over the Eagles, 17-14. Nelson getting set to kick off, and it looks like Tommy Kramer's going to be coming back in the next time the Vikings have the ball, not by design.
No, he really took a lick on that left shoulder. He might have a partial separation, it appears. Big hit by Terry Hogue and Andre Waters, and there's Tommy getting loose. He knows he's got to go back into the battle.
So Wade Wilson with his jersey off on the sideline. Kickoff going to Mark Konechny. Konechny, waved by the New York Jets, is down at the 24-yard line.
Wilson makes up his mind early on this that he doesn't have anybody, but he has an opening. He outruns Jerome Brown, but this is a big hit by Waters and Hogue right at the goal line, and he has a shoulder problem right now.
There's the scoring drive, capped by Wilson's 3-yard run, but the big play was a 17-yard pass to Leo Lewis that put him in position at 1st and goal. Eagles on their 24-yard line, 5:29 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Now they trail 14-10. Here's Keith Jackson, rookie from Oklahoma, getting about 7 on the play. Solomon and Howard on the stop. The Eagles are pleased and delighted and shocked, perhaps, that Jackson was around at number 13 when it came their turn to draft.
Buddy Ryan says that a player of that talent at the tight end position comes around every 10 years or so. The last first-round pick that he likened Jackson to was about 10 years ago, and that's my old teammate Kellen Winslow.
Good man to be compared to.
The best.
They gained 9 on that play. 2nd and 1. Cunningham throwing, and there's Jackson with a great catch and a first down into Viking territory. Lee and Brown are on the stop, a 23-yard pickup. They've got Keith Jackson going now.
This is really a nice catch. You don't expect this from a guy from Oklahoma, where he had to block all his career. In fact, he caught 14 balls as a junior and 13 as a senior. This year so far, he's got 19. And if he keeps making grabs like that, who knows when he'll stop.
Another weapon for Randall Cunningham.
They have a lot of talent on this offense. It's just a matter of getting it in sync.
First down at the Viking 44. Solomon, or check that, it was David Howard who went over. Let's see if he was drawn off. Jim Tunney.
51.
It was
defense.
encroachment against David Howard of the Vikings.
Still first down.
So it'll be 1st and 5 for Cunningham. I would think he's an extremely, as we look at the replay, dangerous quarterback when he has 1st and 5 or 2nd and 1.
He can do so many things to hurt you. He can run with the ball, and he can also throw it. He is their best open field runner. He may be one of the best in the league.
And would probably make a good halfback.
Yeah, I'm sure he's happy being quarterback. Quarterbacks get paid a lot more than halfbacks. Live longer, too.
1st and 5 at the 39. Down he goes. He was in the grass. Dolman and Millard.
This is Millard, number 75, working against Tamburello again, and that's just a mismatch there. He's right inside on top of Cunningham before he even gets set. Dolman with the cleanup work. We're seeing some great defensive line play today. A couple of guys that definitely make the Pro Bowl next year.
And on the offensive line, the Eagles have made some changes. Ken Reeves, of course, have been in for Ron Heller at right tackle and Adam Schreiber for Reggie Singletary at right guard. 2nd and 12 at the 46. Tony. Anthony Tony, penalty marker down. And Tony gets inside the 30, but we may have a holding call against Philadelphia. And that would nullify a 17-yard pickup by Tony, and that's the call.
But he's going to hurt his ears ripping his headset off. This will make him crazy, though. They get their best running play of the day, and it's called back because of holding.
Holding, offense number 61, 10 yards. It's still 2nd down.
Ben Tamburello, left guard.
Watch Tamburello hold right there, gets a little bit of leverage, and that's what they see, and that's what they call it. His left hand inside there against Henry Thomas.
The line judge in this game, Howard Rowe, is serving as the umpire. Hendy Ansich was knocked out of the game early, taken off the field. He's all right, but they didn't want to put him back in. 2nd and 22. Cunningham chased by Baker. And just eludes Keith Jackson. Try to extend himself. Wyman Henderson covering on the play, and that'll bring up 3rd and very long for Cunningham.
They're coming at Cunningham in waves. If he sets short, they're right in his face. If he rolls out, he has to get away from one guy. Then there's another guy comes he's got to get away from. He just barely overthrew that ball to Jackson that time.
Scores coming in. Cincinnati trying to remain unbeaten. So is Buffalo. We have 4 minutes and 6 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Vikings regaining the lead. In front 17 to 14. One of those numbers works over the Eagles. 3rd and 22. At one time it was 1st and 5 for Philly. Fumble. Cunningham recovers and goes deep. Harris, the free safety, and Quick go after it, and it's incomplete.
That's a smart play by Cunningham. He knew that his pass was completely destroyed when he fumbled the snap. Why not throw it down the field to your best receiver? It worked once already when Quick beat Harris on a deep ball. And so what if Harris intercepts it? It's great field position.
Meanwhile, Leo Lewis will go back to receive the punt. Telchik, and a flag is down.
Delay, illegally snapping the ball before declared ready. 5 yards, 4.
They try to pull a fast one. They've already quick kicked once today, and that was really a quick kick that you're not allowed to do.
Before the ball is declared ready. My goodness. We're getting a little too fancy in this game.
I don't remember that call anytime.
Jim Tunney is one of the better referees in the league. He's always in control.
Yes, he is.
Even a man short.
That's right. Telchik, who's punted well today, as those numbers indicate. Gets another beauty off. Best of the day. Leo Lewis will let it bounce. Stays in play, and the Eagles are going to down it. Terry Hogue downs it inside the 5. 56-yard kick by John Telchik, and he has had a grand afternoon for the Eagles. Your way next weekend on CBS Sports. Begins with the NFL today at 12:30 Eastern. Most of you will see the rematch between the Giants and the Redskins. They met opening night, and the Redskins were beaten by the Giants. Second game, most of you will see these Vikings against Dan Marino and the Miami Dolphins. Check your local listing. The worst starting position for the Vikings all day. They're on the 5-yard line, and Allen Rice, trying to go wide, is stuffed for no gain at the 5-yard line. Byron Evans was the first man to reach him.
So you want to play tailback, huh, Dick? Well, this is what it looks like. You get the pitch from the quarterback, and now you look up and you're supposed to see all this wide open field, except there isn't any. And then you got to take the lick. So you don't want to do it, huh?
How come you put me in the game when we're on the 5? Why don't you put me in for that goal line stuff?
I could put you in the offensive line.
Okay. 2nd and 10 at the 5. Winding down to 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Rice again, and Rice gets nothing. Reggie White, the stone wall, and a loss on the play of 1.5 yards. Now it's getting kind of testy for the Vikings back there on 3rd down.
Well, you run 2 plays on 1st and 2nd down, and now you're forced to throw. You've got your starting quarterback back in the game. He's all beat up. The guy you send in, he got beat up, Wade Wilson. Rich Gannon's on the inactive list. Tommy Kramer has got to carry the load the rest of the day. If he were to go down with an injury, we might even see Leo Lewis, wide receiver who played a little high school quarterback, but he's only 5'8".
I don't think Jerry Burns wants to see that. 3rd and 11 at the 4. Kramer gets out of trouble to Carter. Anthony Carter brings it out to the 29-yard line. Take it to 28. Waters and Young bring him down, and a fleet-footed Anthony Carter picks up 24 yards there.
It's amazing that on 3rd and 10 that they wouldn't double cover Anthony Carter. What they tried to do with Eric Allen is to cut off the inside, but Carter has too many moves for Allen. He gets the ball on the inside, and then it's just a real joy to watch him run with the ball in the open field.
Carter with 3 catches, 62 yards. Carter and Quick, the 2 outstanding wide receiving threats in the game today. 1st down, Vikings on their 28. There's the time remaining in the 3rd quarter. Kramer. Sideline pattern, incomplete, out of bounds. The pass was intended for Carter again, and Roynell Young was with him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the attendance for today's game is 56,012. 56,000.
Minnesota had the edge in the 1st half, and they have a big edge in the 2nd half, but on the scoreboard, the lead is just 3, and the Vikings needed a touchdown here in the 3rd quarter, engineered by Wade Wilson, to regain the lead that they had lost.
This play is being dominated. This game is being dominated by both teams' defensive lines.
And not a surprise when you think of the personnel on those lines.
Really the strength of both ball clubs.
2nd and 10. Pressure on Kramer. Sidearm throw to Lewis, incomplete, and Waters was covering him. Good pressure that time by the Eagle defense will bring up a 3rd down and 10.
And it was Reggie White again who was right inside on Kramer. They're trying everything they possibly can to control him. One of the problems is you never know exactly where he's going to line up on that defensive line. Right now it looks like he's going to be the left defensive end, but on that play he was the left tackle.
3 wide receivers and Mike Malarkey, the 2nd tight end, split wide right. Have it. Alfred Anderson on the inside handoff, coughed it up, and Clyde Simmons has recovered the fumble for the Philadelphia Eagles in great field position for Philadelphia.
Trying to draw play on 3rd and 10, and there's just no place for Anderson to go. The man that made the play was Mike Pitts. He got great penetration right now. Vikings are having trouble really with just about anybody that lines up inside. The center is the right guard are just not doing the job up front.
That's the 3rd turnover in the game by the Minnesota Vikings. And the Eagles with a great opportunity now with 1:18 to go in the 3rd. 1st and 10 on the 26. Cunningham can run. He's got Studwell to beat. And goes out of bounds close to 1st down yardage, and he has the 1st down for the Eagles.
That's a mismatch. Studwell to beat. And Studwell had the angle on him. He saw him coming. Couldn't do anything about it. Old Daddy Longlegs really had him stretched out that time.
Cunningham came into the game averaging over 7 yards a carry, and the leading rusher on the club. He has already scored a touchdown on the ground. He's carried 4 times for that many yards today. 1st and 10 Eagles on the Vikings 16. Tony to the 5 and inside the 5, and another Philadelphia 1st down. Tony with better results that time held on to the ball. Browner on the stop.
One thing, when you have an aggressive defensive line, you want to try and trap them. This time they get the trap by Schreiber without the holding by Tamburello. Same play that they ran earlier where they made some nice yardage, but it was called back because of holding. This time they play it straight, they play it clean, and they get the great field position now inside the 5.
Less than a minute remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Eagles with a 1st and goal on the 3, double tight end. Byers gets nothing and might have lost one. Henry Thomas on the stop, and I'm sure that the Eagles will wait until the beginning of the 4th quarter to run their next play.
They got to be feeling pretty good about the way things are going. This is the play that they scored on earlier, just a lead play to Byers, but the penetration by the front line of the Vikings just snuffed this out before Byers got a chance to go airborne.
So they're going to let the clock run down, and the Eagles will be sitting pretty when we get back. That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score. The Vikings 17, the Eagles 14. 14, but the Eagles threaten to regain the lead. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts, the crowd takes over. 2nd and goal at the 4. Byers on the option pass throws incomplete to Haddix in the end zone. So the Eagles start the 4th quarter with a lot of time to talk it over, Dan Fouts, and come in with something fancy.
Nice play by Byers, not forcing this one and avoiding the rush. He looked a little bit like a left-handed Randall Cunningham that time. He sees Haddix, but he has poor mechanics. He threw off the wrong foot there, but Haddix was wide open in the end zone. Let's give the ball to the guy that can throw it, Randall Cunningham.
3rd and goal at the 4. Greg Garrity in the game, number 86 in motion. Cunningham, loose ball. Byers has it. Has blocking. And Byers is hit at the 5-yard line. That looked like it might be good for Philadelphia, disaster for the Eagles, great for the Vikings, and it comes out to be a net gain of about 0.
Why don't you do this replay? I'm not sure I can handle all this action. Cunningham has the receiver there, but the ball gets knocked away by Henry Thomas, and now it's a free-for-all. This was the receiver that Cunningham was going for, though, is Byers, and this is just pure fun. That really set up this field goal here, because if he doesn't pick this ball up and run, we've got a 40-yard field goal.
So Dale Dawson, who actually won the kicking job in August, was hurt, went on injured reserve, and now there's a conference going on.
I think what they're looking at, Dick, is to see whether this was an incomplete pass or a fumble. It appeared that Cunningham was raising his arm to throw the pass, and that Henry Thomas got his hand on the ball just as he was delivering.
You mean after all that work by Byers and all those people, they're going to look at this?
And the other thing about it is it won't really change the field position at all. Well, I think he's pulling it back down. I think he's feeling the pressure, and that really was a fumble.
I agree with you.
But they're not listening to us. The replay officials aren't.
But they're looking at the pictures. Here's the end of that play, and the net result was -1 yard, as a matter of fact, when Byers was down. And if it stands, there's Buddy Ryan ready to try a field goal, and Terry Burns says, look, he didn't get that arm down. That's a fumble.
Well, they're both thinking that, hey, let's just get this game going again and kick the field goal, because if the field position is only going to be 1 yard difference one way or the other.
Dawson is in to try a 22-yard field goal at this point. There's the replay booth, Bill Fetty, the official, and Bill Granholm, the communicator. The Eagles getting in position to try a field goal to tie the game. There's the defensive head man of the Vikings, Floyd Peters. Great success he's had with the gold rush in San Francisco, the silver rush in Detroit, and then later on with the Cardinals.
Here we'll look at it again, and here's Thomas, number 97, good pressure. Dolman from the other side, and the ball is slapped out of Cunningham's hand. Whether it's ruled a pass or not, like I said, it really doesn't matter.
Well, this is some of these replay looks are important. This may not be as important as most.
On further review, it's a fumble all the way by the offensive team. It is 4th down.
All right, so a little over 2 minutes to check it out, and so Dawson is in to attempt the field goal, a 22-yarder. John Telchik, the punter, will hold. Eagles are trying to tie this game up early here in the fourth quarter. The kick is no good. Dawson misses a 22-yarder after being activated yesterday, and the Vikings keep their lead. And will return to the Metrodome after this word from your local station. The Vikings have avoided trouble. A missed field goal. Minnesota 1st and 10 on their 20-yard line. Early fourth quarter. Vikings lead 17-14 over the Eagles. Allen Rice up the middle. Eagles are grabbing for the ball, and he picks up about 3 on that play.
There's the loneliest man in all the the Metrodome here. Maybe the Kingdome too, but he just hits this a little chunky, pushes it out to the right. And he's the first guy to know that he missed it.
There the Minnesota turnovers. No one, the Eagles didn't capitalize. Philadelphia turned it over once, and the Vikings didn't capitalize. But Randall Cunningham and a few of the Eagles did go over to Dale Dawson during that break to console him. Meanwhile, 2nd and 7 Minnesota. Wide open Rice from Kramer. First down. Moore down the sideline. Hopkins to beat. And they're deeper into Eagle territory. Wes Hopkins knocks Allen Rice out of bounds. 37 yards.
Rice is number 36, just swinging out of the backfield. This ball is going to him all the way, and he gets some fine blocking downfield. Anthony Carter there on Roynell Young, and Hopkins had a long run, or this would have been a touchdown.
He had a big game last week. Darren Nelson on the sidelines with a sprained ankle tendon, not activated for this game. Talking about people not activated, Dean Dorsey, who was replaced by Dawson as a kicker, is still around. I mean, they didn't cut him. So who knows if Mr. Dorsey may someday reemerge.
Well, I'm sure he's feeling a little bit better about his situation right now at the expense of Dale Dawson.
First down, Vikings on the Eagle 39. Alfred Anderson, Mike Pitts, and then Seth Joyner. Pitts came out of the game a little earlier, made the play there. Good penetration.
The front line of the Eagles is really the dominant unit on this entire football team. And it appears to me at this time that they've made up their mind that they're going to control this game and get the ball back for their offense. They have gotten their offense in good field position many times, not only this game, but the entire season. They've got to do it one more time today.
2nd and 12, back at the 41 of the Eagles. Short of a first down by 2 yards. Wes Hopkins making the stop. Tommy Kramer started today. Was ineffective toward the end of the first half. Was replaced by Wade Wilson, who had a slight shoulder separation. And now Kramer back in there, and he's moving the team.
We have Anthony Carter in our little box here against Derek Allen. And this is not bad coverage, but to be able to stop on a dime like that, change direction, takes a lot of ability, and boy, Anthony Carter has every bit of it.
4 catches for 72 yards for Carter. 3rd and 2 at the 31. Anderson, first down. Got tripped up, but not before he got to the 27. Byron Evans making the stop on Alfred Anderson.
As Anderson comes out of the game, that's not because he's injured or anything, but that's because the Vikings system of calling plays is by messenger. Rick Finney comes into the game, and Schnelker told us that the reason he does it is because both of these players have similar abilities. There's no drop-off when one guy replaces the other.
If he had the same story with the wide receivers and tight ends, he'd shuttle them in.
It doesn't surprise me he wouldn't shuttle quarterbacks, too.
Practically doing that. First down, Vikings on the 27 of Philadelphia. Rice gets to the 24, pickup of a couple. At this point, with 10:39 remaining in the fourth quarter, and a 3-point lead for the Vikings, if the game holds as it is now, the story of the game will be the Eagles, who had a 1st and goal at the 2-yard line, were stymied, and then Dale Dawson missing a 22-yard field goal if it remains the way it is.
Vikings are working working on the clock, slow out of the huddle, using every bit of the 45-second clock.
We have a lot of time remaining, though. 2nd down and 7. Rice to the 26, and a penalty marker down will bring up 3rd and about 4. Andre Waters and Seth Joyner were on Mr. Rice that time. And a face mask call against the Eagles, and that'll be a big call against Buddy Ryan's crew. It'll be a 1st down.
Well, you just can't afford these types of mistakes in this part of the field. These are hard yards to make down here. You give them 10, 15 yards like that, that's a real gift.
It is a 1st down, and they'll spot the ball.
5 yards, 74 defense. 5 yards, that makes it a 1st down on the line of game.
Mike Pitts.
The important thing here is that it makes it a 1st down, not so much the yardage, but now they've got 3 or 4 shots at getting that ball in the end zone. Vikings need a touchdown at this point. They can't just settle for 3 points.
1st and 10 for the Vikings at the Eagles 16.
Minnesota 1st down on the Philadelphia 16. A little over 10 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. And Rice, the handoff, and Jerome Brown penetrated brilliantly and decked Rice right away.
Well, you know, we talked about the communication between the quarterback and the center there. Loudermilk is out of the game, the regular center. Chris Foote is in there, and there was a bad snap on that play. Whether it came up too early or too late, it's hard to tell, but it was the communication, the coordination of that offensive play was doomed from the start.
A loss of 5 on the play. Here's the time remaining.
He snaps this ball before everybody's ready, and that makes it easy for the defensive line to just fly right through there and make the play.
2nd and 15, back to the 21. Kramer falls down. And good savvy got maybe a yard or 2 of those back. Reggie White put the seal on it. And it's a loss in any event of another 3 yards. It'll be 3rd and 18.
Well, they're starting to move backwards a little bit. They've lost 8 yards now in 2 plays, and the Vikings offense continues to struggle.
That's the 4th sack of the game for Reggie White. He has all 4 of the Eagles sacks, and that may be the easiest one he'll ever get.
It looked like Kramer was running in quicksand there for a minute.
3rd down and 18 at the 24. This crowd is amazingly quiet for what this play is. 4 wide receivers. Kramer up the middle. Now you hear him, Alan Rice, with a short of a 1st down. He's tackled at the 10. He is about 4 yards shy. Williams Brazel made the stop on Rice, and here comes Chuck Nelson, who will try to give the Vikings a 6-point lead. Nelson today has kicked a 22-yarder.
You know, missed field goals can be contagious. You see one guy miss a chippy, an easy shot, and it gets you to thinking when it's your turn.
Scribner will hold. And the kick is up. It's good. Well, he took the right precautions to avoid that ailment. Chuck Nelson has given the Vikings a 20-14 advantage. Who came in the 2nd half. Loudermilk to center, and Hassan Jones, an outstanding wide receiver, are out. Eagles have not taken advantage of some golden opportunities. 3 turnovers, and Minnesota leading 20-14 as a result of a field goal, something the Eagles didn't get. They had a 1st and goal at the 2 and got 0 out of it.
Well, they've had trouble all year taking advantage of good field position, and it still continues to plague them today.
And of course, the missed field goal could have tied the ball game, so now they're 6 back. But the one saving grace is that a touchdown could put them ahead with the extra point.
And they have Randall Cunningham running the show.
That always helps. Sean Beals at the goal line. And Beals brings it out to the 21-yard line. Henderson on the stop. Next Saturday at 2:30 Eastern Time, it'll be 7th-ranked LSU. Tigers travel to Gainesville to take on the 20th-ranked Florida Gators in an important Southeastern Conference showdown.
LSU won last year's game, but that was played at that tremendous football stadium down there in Baton Rouge, where it's tough for anybody to win.
Emmitt Smith, the sophomore, with a 96-yard touchdown run for Florida, one to watch. Cunningham is always one to watch. First down on the 21 for Philadelphia. Down he goes, Keith Millard. 6 sacks today by the Vikings. Millard has half of them.
A lot of players are making their incentive clauses on sacking the quarterback today. Reggie White's had a wonderful day, and so has Keith Millard.
3.5 sacks. He also combined with Solomon. Big game for Keith Millard, who said that, I don't know about any pressure going against the guy I can beat, talking about Reggie Singletary. He remembers Brad Edelman last year in the playoffs in New Orleans.
He does a great job of studying his opponent on tape and then finding out which of the two guards is the weaker of the two, and he goes after that guy.
Loss of 9 that time. Second down. Cunningham drills it to Mike Quick, who can't hold on to it. Joey Browner covering on the play. And he hit Mike Quick awfully hard, and Quick is shaken up.
Might have just knocked the wind out of him. Let's hope that's all it is to that one. This ball is dangerously thrown to the inside. When you have your receiver on the sideline in this dead area, you want to try to lead him away from the safety that's coming over, and you especially want to lead him away from a safety that can hit like Joey Browner.
And a clean hit, and Browner concerned of Mike Quick's condition. We'll come back to the Metrodome in just a moment. Mike Quick still having trouble, is sacked back at the 5 by Keith Millard again. 4.5 sacks for Keith Millard on 3rd and long as the Vikings stormed in.
Millard's number 75, and again it's Tamburello who can't quite hold him down. And he is right in on Cunningham before Randall can do a thing.
Telchik will punt. Leo Lewis goes back. Mike Quick is up on the sideline. We'll check his condition. Lewis at the 42 will give the Vikings great field position as he gets the ball into Eagle territory at the 44. Dwayne Giles on the stop, and now they have to separate the athletes again. Keith Millard is having a fantastic afternoon. He has sacked Randall Cunningham 7 times, or the Vikings have 7 sacks for 50 yards, 4.5 by Keith Millard. There's Mike Quick. They're working on that right knee. More action coming next on CBS Sports. Rams against the Giants. San Francisco 49ers against the Seahawks in Seattle at the Kingdome. Some of you will see Washington and Phoenix. The 49er Seahawks game's interesting.
Well, both teams were upset last week. The 49ers by Atlanta and the Seattle Seahawks by the Chargers. Seahawks are at home. Tough place to win if you're the visiting team.
Vikings with the ball in Eagle territory at the 44. Alfred Anderson gets a couple. Jerome Brown on the stop. There's the time remaining in the 4th quarter.
And it's important that we keep our eye on that clock because the Vikings have great field position. They lead this game by 6 points. What they're trying to do now is get 3 more to make it impossible for the Eagles to win by just a touchdown. Work this clock now, work it down, get a field goal out of it, we'll be in good shape.
Vikings with a 2nd down and 9. They lead it 20-14. They can get another score, you're right. They can put away the Eagle team, and the pass is caught to Steve Jordan, and it should be a 1st down, Minnesota. Byron Evans making the stop. 6:03 to go as the clock stops. And a 1st down. They're going to have a measurement, but they've already signaled 1st down for the Minnesota Vikings.
And that was an important 1st down because now with the gain of 5 to 10 yards, you're in automatic field goal position. And Chuck Nelson is a very consistent kicker.
He has kicked 2 today from 22 and 27 yards. But the Eagles had an opportunity. They're not out of the game yet, but they had a great chance. 1st and goal at the 2 and couldn't capitalize. Now the Vikings Trying to get some breathing room. Allen Rice gets a couple. It'll be second down and about 7 or 8. Waters and Mike Pitts on the stop. The Eagles led at the half, 14-10. We have our first final of the afternoon. The New Orleans Saints just barely get by Tampa Bay, 13-9.
They're struggling a little bit. That's 13 points at home against a team that really is struggling themselves, the Tampa Bay Bucks.
But a win is a win, and they'll take it.
Who said that anyway?
We're going to look it up. 2nd and 8 for the Vikings with just under 5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Benny doesn't get the first down, but gets awfully close, about 2 yards away. Reggie White on the stop. You mentioned before, excuse me, Dan, how the Eagle defense said they wanted to control and were showing that they were controlling the line to get the ball back. But
very difficult against these types of plays, though. These are very conservative fullback lead plays. Penny did a nice job there of keeping his eyes open, looking for the cutback, and then getting to the cutback lane and picking up the yards.
What really hurt the Eagles is that Mike Quick has a bruised thigh and is questionable as far as his return. 3rd and 3, Minnesota. And they won't make it there. Allen Rice is stopped short. Todd Bell coming up from the outside linebacking position, and that will create a 4th down and enter Chuck Nelson.
This is not an easy field goal attempt. It's going to be about 45 yards, 44 yards. And the one thing that's going in his favor is that there's no wind to bother him, no wind to help him. But I'm sure he would like to be 10 or 15 yards closer.
He's 6 for 7 on the season, Dan, and this will be a 45-yard attempt. The longest attempt this year for Chuck Nelson has been 42 yards, and he missed that one. Scribner holding. And the kick is short and off to the right. No good. So Chuck Nelson, who's been effective with the 20s and early 30s, having problems from the 40s. And so the Eagles dodge that one and get the ball back when we return. 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the game. The Eagles have a first down on their 27. Cunningham throws incomplete, intended for Greg Garrity. Carl Lee defending on the play. 2 finals coming in. The Houston Oilers rebounding from their loss to the Jets last week. Stomp on the New England Patriots, and Indianapolis Colts finally win their first, beating the Miami Dolphins 15-13. Vikings play in Miami next week in Joe Robbie Stadium. 2nd and 10 at the 27. Tony has some running room, and Anthony Tony carries it out to the 34-yard line where Scott Studwell is there. That'll bring up a 3rd and a long 3. Each team has 3 timeouts remaining.
That was a good call, Dick. The pressure on the quarterback can only be stopped by 1 or 2 ways. One is you pass block the ball. The Eagles haven't been able to do that, but then you got to go to the trap or the draw play. They ran the draw successfully that time.
And Mike Quick has come back in for the Eagles. Cunningham down by Doug Martin. Doug Martin celebrates his return to the Minnesota Vikings after a lengthy holdout by getting the 8th sack of the game for the Minnesota defense. And it'll be 4th down, and John Telchik will punt, and Lewis goes back. So Mike Quick returns to the game and came in on that down, but Cunningham had no time. Good kick by Telchik, and Lewis will call for the fair catch at the 34. And with 2:22 to go, the game is in the hands right now of the Minnesota offense if they can use the clock. Coming up next, second half of our NFL doubleheader. Rams against the Giants, the 49ers against the Seahawks, and the Washington Redskins go down to Sun Devil Stadium to play the Phoenix Cardinals with the new quarterback, Mark Rippon.
And a little bit of heat. Just wonder what the temperature is there in Phoenix today.
Your thoughts about a guy who's never taken a snap in an NFL game in a contest like that?
Well, it's good that he has so much talent surrounding him. Mark Rippon is a lot of talent on that offensive line. Shea and the rest of the Redskins.
And I'm sure they'll run the ball a lot. First down, Vikings on their 35. And a great play by Mike Pitts behind the line of scrimmage, stuffing Allen Rice. And we're going to get down to our 2-minute warning, but first a timeout has been called.
Sure. Timeout. Philadelphia.
So the Eagles have 2 timeouts remaining. We have more final scores to show you. The Jets beat the Detroit Lions. Turnaround for them.
And playing the Lions in the Silverdome is tough. Look at Atlanta gave Dallas a heck of a battle today.
But the Cowboys win, so they're 2-2 on the season. Cunningham talking things over with his offense because he's hoping to get the ball again with a chance to win the game for Philadelphia.
One of the problems that the Eagle offense has is they haven't been in this system very long. Cunningham and Quick are really the veterans of the offensive unit as far as the skill positions are concerned, and they don't have the sophistication yet or the coordination to where they can be a real threat and they can give Randall some more tools as a quarterback.
Hero of the game for the Minnesota defense has to be Keith Millard today with 4.5 of their 8 sacks.
He told us yesterday he was looking forward to a big day, and he delivered.
Look at those eyes. Is he pumped up?
4.5 sacks will get you feeling good about just about everything.
We saw Gary Jeter pick up 5 sacks last week, and Reggie White today has 4 sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm drawing all these sacks out of these great football teams. I hope not.
You see, I know there's a quarterback upstairs in the booth. I make believe I'm going after him. Second down.
Easy pickings, too.
Second down, 11 for the Vikings on the 34. Kramer going deep for Carter. And a fine play by Eric Allen. He is a good-looking rookie, second-round draft pick out of Arizona State, who has been a consistent man in the secondary.
He's made a couple of nice plays today. This ball is just slightly underthrown, but Allen is step for step with Carter and has the good timing to know when to go up and break the play up.
Allen's done a good job in a beleaguered secondary. The Eagles have had their problems defending against the pass, and Allen has been a bright spot. So it's third down and 11 for Tommy Kramer and the Vikings. 2:09 remaining in the fourth quarter. Big down, and Kramer will take the loss. And the crowd is booing. They're wondering why maybe he didn't throw it out of bounds.
There were no receivers on that side of the field. They were all in the middle of the field or to the left side. Tommy ran out there all by himself, looked up for a receiver, saw nobody, did the smart thing, just eating the ball and taking the sack.
Our 2-minute warning is here, and we'll be back in Minneapolis after this. Our 2-minute warning here in Minneapolis, where the Vikings lead 20-14. There's Mike Quick, who came in on that third down play in which Cunningham was sacked, and it looks like he's ready to roll and get back in there for the Eagles, and they need him.
He's spent a better part of that timeout stretching out that thigh muscle.
Bucky Scribner ready to kick. Mark Konechny is back for the Eagles. The kick is blocked by Philadelphia. Picked up by Hogue. And the Eagles will have the ball inside the 15-yard line. Andre Waters might have blocked the kick, and Hogue was there to pick it up. And so, do unto others the golden rule in this game. The Eagles had a punt blocked, and now the Vikings do.
It's the way we started the day today. But this play may be bigger than that play because of the time and field position that we get here. Andre Waters with the block. He comes clean. Scribner appeared that he would have no trouble getting it off. But remember last time when the way that Scribner kind of fades to his left before he punts, I'm sure Waters was thinking about it that time.
Eagles first down on the Vikings 13. To 1:51 to go. Cunningham to Jackson. Touchdown Philadelphia. Pete Jackson. with a 13-yard catch, and the Eagles have tied the game at 20 apiece. A block punt by Andre Waters, and on the very first play, Randall Cunningham has hit rookie Keith Jackson for the touchdown. The third touchdown reception for Jackson, the leading receiver on the Eagles, and now it is in the hands, or I should say the foot, of Dale Dawson to give the Eagles a lead.
What do you think Dale Dawson's thinking right now? He was right here about 20 to 30 minutes ago, and he missed an easy chippy. This is basically the same type of kick.
A 13-yard touchdown play to Keith Jackson, a rookie who will be around for a long while, and now to try to break the 2020 tie is Dawson. And the kick is good, and the Eagles have regained the lead 21 to 20 with a minute and 47 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. A dramatic turnaround, and it's the Eagles who finally come in and block a Minnesota punt. And that's the big play that may turn this thing around.
Jackson is just out of your screen to the left. He's going to run a corner route, good pass protection, and he beats the linebacker, Chris Martin. The key, though, is the pass protection, something Cunningham hasn't had all day. When he really needs it, his offensive line gives it to him. Jackson's just no match for Martin. And he gets the 6 points.
And this place is silent as the Philadelphia Eagles, who have had trouble in getting kicks off themselves all day, finally storm in on Bucky Scribner and Andre Waters with the block. And on the first play, Keith Jackson catches a Cunningham TD pass, and it's 21 to 20 now in favor of the Eagles with 1:47 to go. And the Vikings have all 3 of their timeouts remaining.
We had a little bit too much celebration in the end zone by Mr. Jackson on the last play, and the penalty for taunting we'll see right here. They're going to have to kick off from the 30-yard line. At this point of the game, every yard means a lot. They're only down by 1 point. A lot of time left, a minute and 47 seconds, 3 timeouts. This baby ain't over yet, Dick.
Darrell Harris is deep for the Vikings, and Dawson getting set to kick off. Tommy Kramer, certainly with 3 timeouts and that much time left, certainly can get the Vikings back. All they need is a field goal. There is Harris at the 15, and Harris brings it out beyond the 30-yard line where William Frizzell makes the stop. So Tommy Kramer comes out with 1:43 remaining and 3 timeouts left. And keep in mind that all the Vikings need is to get in field goal range to attempt to win this game.
The question is, what is field goal range for Chuck Nelson? He has had difficulty kicking balls at over 40 yards. Right now, if the Vikings were to advance the ball down the field 40 yards, they would leave themselves with about a 45-yarder. So maybe they got to go 50 yards.
Well, here again, it's up perhaps to the Eagle defense. They got him back in the game, and here they are now. Rick Fenny, the running back, with Allen Rice. 1st and 10 on the Viking 32. Kramer. And Kramer looks like he might have been able to pick up some more yardage. It was open field, and at least try to get to the sideline. Clock is running. The Vikings now will call a timeout.
Well, you're exactly right, Dick. If he got to the sidelines, regardless of the amount of yards he made, he would have saved that timeout. Timeouts now are more important than yardage, basically.
1:25 to go, and the Vikings have 2 timeouts remaining.
But then again, Tommy's 33 years old. Maybe he felt he couldn't make it to those sidelines.
Well, tonight on CBS begins with another edition of 60 Minutes. And that's followed by the first of the debates between presidential candidates George Bush and Michael Dukakis. And then it's Murder, She Wrote. That's tonight on CBS. Amazing turn of events in this game, Dan, almost from the start, where the Vikings stormed out in front 10-0. Looked like they were going to blow the Eagles off the field, and Philadelphia dominated the second quarter. Philly couldn't take advantage of Minnesota turnovers. It looked like the Vikings had control of the game, holding the Eagles with first and goal on the 2, and now the block kick and the score.
Very similar to the Eagles game last week against the Redskins, where the defense made the proper adjustments in the second half and really controlled the game.
Kramer, by the way, has completed 4 of his last 5 passes. 2nd and 5 on the Viking 37. Kramer and Leo Lewis can't handle it, out of bounds. Todd Bell defending. It'll be 3rd down, and it stops the clock with 1:20 to go. Chicago bounces back. Cincinnati Bengals remain undefeated. Buffalo also looks like they're going to do the same.
And Reggie White planted Tommy Kramer again. He may not always sack the quarterback, but he's going to get his share of hits on him.
3rd down and 5, and keep in mind the Vikings in essence have 2 downs to get the yardage.
Exactly.
Washington underway with a lead over Phoenix, 7-0. Some of you will see that game after this. Kramer again off the fingertips of Leo Lewis, incomplete, and it'll be 4th down for Minnesota, and they will of course go for it on 4th and 5.
You gotta love Buddy Ryan's attitude about playing defense. He says that if you're not the predator, then you're the prey. So that goes for the offensive side of the ball as well as the defensive side of the ball. That time they blitzed 7 men, put all the pressure on their defensive backs to play man-to-man coverage. We're going to knock Tommy Kramer down. We're going to try and make a sack.
The game is right here. The Vikings this year are perfect 4 for 4 when they've gone for it on 4th down. He gets it to Rice. 1st down, Minnesota at the 47-yard line. Evans on the stop. And the Vikings are now 5 for 5 this year on 4th down plays. And Minnesota will call a timeout. And they have 1 left.
You really got to give Tommy Kramer a lot of credit for this. He's even wondering about it himself. Rice comes out of the backfield and just cuts over the middle, and they are just right on Tommy. He had no other choice but to unload this ball, threw a perfect pass, picks up the 1st down. Watch them all come right now at the quarterback. Reggie White is again free, and again he knocks Tommy down. Tommy never even saw this ball complete.
Tommy Kramer started. By the way, he did not finish either of the last 2 games this season. He had leg cramps against New England in that game, and because the Vikings were well ahead of Chicago, didn't finish last week. And he may have not finished here if not Wade Wilson come back down with a shoulder injury in relief.
And he is going to be in the whirlpool tomorrow, I guarantee you. Really a competitor. May all come down to Chuck Nelson's right leg, though. Tommy's got to move him about 25 yards to get him in good field position.
They have to get to the 23-yard line for a 40-yard attempt by Nelson. Vikings have 1 timeout remaining with 1:07 on the clock. 1st and 10 on their own 47-yard line. Carter defended by the rookie Eric Allen to the bottom of your picture. Kramer going for Carter. He's got it. And the clock stops with a minute to play. 27 yards. Waters and Hopkins defending.
There are players in every sport that can dominate the game at any time. We're watching one of them right now. Anthony Carter. Unbelievable catch. A fine throw, but go to your money man and he delivers.
And he gets out of bounds.
Well, it's just not many things he doesn't do right on the football field. And he enjoys what he does. He plays with a certain flair, and he comes up with a big play when it's needed most.
A minute to go. 1st down. On the 26-yard line of the Eagles, getting closer to Chuck Nelson's range. Allen Rice to the 25. Mike Pitts on the stop. Brown didn't like that call.
I'm not sure Tommy Kramer likes it either. He feels that his offense has to be aggressive in order for them to be successful. That sometimes they get a little too conservative. They think about field position too much. Now the field position's in their favor.
Now it's the Vikings who want the crowd to get down a little bit. Quiet. 2nd and 9. Here's Penny. Penny gets a couple. And they're going to look like they're just happy to set up what could be a long field goal attempt for Chuck Nelson. 19 seconds to go, and the Minnesota Vikings apparently have called their last timeout.
I know Chuck Nelson would like for his offense to be a little more aggressive and to go for it.
22.
There's an injured Eagle on the field.
The Eagles are out of timeouts.
That's Reggie White, who was shaken up. I can't imagine Reggie White ever getting shaken up after talking with him again yesterday.
He might just be tired and a little bored of having knocked down quarterbacks all day. He's trying to go back in the game, but I got to believe he's got to go out for at least one play.
The Minnesota Vikings called the timeout. They're out of timeouts. It'll be 3rd down and 9 with 22 seconds remaining. Coming up next, game 2 of our doubleheader. The Rams and the Giants, the 49ers and the Seahawks, the Redskins against the Phoenix Cardinals. 3rd down and 6 at the 22-yard line. No more timeouts left. Chuck Nelson getting set to come in. Kramer on play action. He hits Carter inside the 10, out of bounds, stops the clock. It's good enough for a 1st down. Roynell Young covering on the play. Picked up 13 on that.
The Eagles came with a safety blitz here. Andre Waters is pressuring Kramer, but this is the main man, as we said earlier. Just no contest there as Carter has simple turnout patterns. And now we're going to look at Mr. Nelson coming in for the winning field goal potential.
Chuck Nelson is 2 for 3 on the day. He's made good on field goals from 22 and 27 yards. He missed his last attempt from 45. This is a 26-yard attempt. Chris Foot is the center. Scribner holds with 18 seconds to go. The Eagles lead it 21-20. And the marker is down. And a delay of the game called against the Vikings.
Exceeding the clock, 30 seconds. 5 yards, still 1st down.
I don't think it really matters at this point on the field whether he has to move back 5 yards or not. Interesting, though, that they're going on 1st down for the winning points and not letting the clock run all the way down. The Eagles will, if this kick is good, or if it's not, will get the ball back.
So, in essence, they're playing this the way you would play an overtime game. They're not taking any chances.
They're not taking any chances with the fumble, snap, or anything. They're going for the winner right now.
Here it is. 32-yard attempt coming up for Nelson. Eagles lead the Vikings by 1. The kick is perfect. Minnesota has the lead again.
Pressure kick. You got to do it. And he does.
Chuck Nelson with a 32-yarder gives the Vikings the lead in a seesaw game. It's gone back and forth. But Jerry Burns' Vikings have the lead at the best time he wanted. 15 seconds from the end. It's 23-21 Minnesota. And the Eagles with 2 timeouts remaining have to go a long way in a hurry.
Interesting ball game, Dick. We had a little bit of everything today. Blocked kicks,
Both sides.
missed kicks, a lot of sacks on the quarterback, a lot of great plays by receivers and quarterbacks. Got to really tip your hat to Tommy Kramer and Anthony Carter in that last drive. They came up with a big play when they needed it.
And it's the kind of game that came down to who had the ball last, really, in the ultimate. And last as far as getting a drive going, and that was the Minnesota Vikings. And now Chuck Nelson will be kicking off a disconsolate group of Philadelphia Eagles. Defenders looking on, a very tough loss. A lot of people thought that this would be the Eagles' year to blossom, and maybe they still will, but if they don't come back here with 15 seconds to go, they will drop to 1-3 on the season. And will have lost 3 straight. Nelson Nelson will be kicking, and Sean Beals is back deep for the Eagles.
Look for a squib kick here in this situation. They don't want to give the Eagles time to set up their wedge blocking and their return blocking.
That's what it is. Heading over. Sean Beals, who goes out of bounds with 11 seconds to go. Brad Edwards on the stop. Tough big day for Tommy Kramer, but this was a big play offensively.
This play makes the highlight film at the end of the year because this is what it's all about. Delivering when it's most important, and having the athletic ability to go up and grab that ball. I just love watching players like that play football.
Kramer, remember, had a 4th down and 5, and he needed a 1st down. He got it. They put 3 wide receivers to the right. With 11 seconds to go, this crowd ready to erupt if they can hold the Eagles. Cunningham going deep. It's intercepted by Minnesota. And it's Isaac Holt with 2 seconds remaining. And for Randall Cunningham, a tough day that started off in most disappointing fashion. The offense was totally out of sync, and then he got going, hitting quick, and he tried to get something here.
He throws this ball about 70 yards. In fact, he throws it too far. He outthrows his 3 white-shirted teammates, and none of them are in position to jump up and try to deflect that ball or catch it themselves.
Isaac Holt with the interception, and the pass was intended for Carter. Joey Browner was shaken up on the play. 2 seconds remain in this game. And the Minnesota Vikings will go on to their 3rd victory in 4 starts with a 23-21 triumph over the Philadelphia Eagles.
And if you look ahead at their schedule, Dick, it looks pretty good for Minnesota. Next week they're at Miami, and then the following 2 weeks they're home in the Metrodome for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers. So this injury, though, to Joey Browner does not look good. Unbelievable that you can play 59 minutes and 58 seconds of a football game and maybe lose your best player with 2 seconds.
What happened to the bridge last week in the Chicago-Minnesota game? This will be the final play of the game, and the Minnesota Vikings come back and defeat the Philadelphia Eagles on a kick by Chuck Nelson to win it. So for Dan Fouts, this is Dick Stockton saying so long for Minnesota. The final score, the Vikings 23, the Eagles 21. Stay tuned for the second game of our NFL doubleheader. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this word from your local station.